Testing YouTube stream, testing for the YouTube stream.
Good morning, everyone. Today is March 9, 2023. Welcome to the City of Toronto Scarborough District Committee of Adjustment hearing. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx Webinar, which is an online digital platform and is streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using the WebEx webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on the YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you please mute all your other devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance may temporarily be upgraded to a panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5 minutes speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen options or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. Before we begin, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to a property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, which is TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Land Tribunal or the OLT. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. As of November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of the hearing procedure, I will call each item in the order as it's listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant may proceed with their presentation. If desired, when the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that have been outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Remember, we are here to hear your concerns, but repeating the same comments and concerns will not advance your cause. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has the opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Before we begin the hearing, may I please receive confirmation of minutes of the last meeting, and I would require a motion to adopt the minutes. Members of the committee, Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for approval of minutes of meeting of dated February 16th.
Thank you, and may I have a seconder, please? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll second that motion for approval of the minutes.
Thank you, and all in favor of this motion? Motion's carried, and the minutes of the last meeting have been adopted. Before I begin, may I ask if there are any declarations of interest of panel or staff for items listed in the time slot for the morning session from items 1 to 17? Staff?
Through the chair, there are none from staff.
Members of the committee, any conflicts of interest? I see none. There are no conflicts of interest of panel or staff for any items listed in the morning slot. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, can I please know the request for deferrals?
Through the chair, there are 3 deferral requests for the morning session. The first deferral is item 7, 5 BALCARRA Avenue. Deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to address TRCA concerns.
Thank you, Colin. Staff, can I please have the applicant, Nicole Parr? Hello, Nicole.
Hello, good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm here today asking for deferral for my client in order to work things out with TRCA, and that's it.
Thank you very much for that confirmation. Members of the committee, do you have any questions or concerns or comments with this request for deferral? I see none. All right, can I please have a motion on this request for deferral, and that would be sine die at the request of the applicant. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I recommend deferral of this application to allow time to confer with TRCA.
And that would be sine die.
Sine die.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yes, I second that motion to defer this item sine die.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have another request for deferral?
Through the chair, the second deferral request is item 10, 25 CROUSE Road. Deferral sine die to correctly identify the requested variances.
Thank you, Colin. May I please have the applicant, Marius? Hello, Marius, are you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Marius. I'm here on behalf of InStorage. We'd like to request a deferral as it was determined that we need an additional variance for loading spaces. We've been in touch with Kelly Reed from the Committee of Adjustment, and we understand that we can get on to the April 5th date.
Colin, could you please confirm that?
Through the chair, that is correct. It's the April 4th hearing, just for clarification.
Okay, so staff is okay with... So staff is okay with deferring it to the April hearing? Okay, so thank you, Marius, for confirming that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions or comments for this request of deferral? And that would be to the hearing in April. I see none, all right. Can I please have a motion? Motion for deferral? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. It'd be a good idea, yes, to sort out those variances. So I move that we defer this item to the April 4th meeting and deal with it at that time.
Thank you. And may I have a seconder, please? Member Said, go ahead. Member Said, we had lost your video for a moment, so I apologize if I missed you earlier. But you're seconding the motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No worries. Yes, Madam Chair, I second the motion.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been deferred to the April hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call in the third request for deferral, please.
Through the chair, the third and last deferral request for the morning session is item 13, 11 HOLLYDENE Road. Deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to address community planning concerns.
Thanks, Colin. Staff, can I please have the applicant Enzo? Hello, Enzo.
Aye.
Hi, Enzo. We have your request for deferral before us. Could you please confirm?
Yes, Madam Chair, based on the planning report that we received on Monday, we would need some extra time to deal with some of the issues.
Thank you. And and that would be a deferral sine die.
Correct.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions or comments for this request for deferral? I see none. All right. Can I please have a motion? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for deferral of item 13. This will be an opportunity for the applicant to correctly identify the concerns to resolve with the community planning. And this deferral is sine die.
Thanks, Mohammed. Can I have a seconder, please? Member Carey, please go ahead. Member McKay, we can't hear you. Have you unmuted yourself? No, we can't hear Member McKay.
Member Gary, you are muted.
Yeah, sorry, I just lost the visual as well for a second. I second that motion to defer this matter sine die.
Thank you, Member McKay. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Enzo. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, was that the end of the deferral request for the morning session?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. All right, we are now going to begin the vetting of the agenda. So we're going to start with item 1. Item 1 is 72 Pharmacy Avenue. And I note that there are no registered speakers on this application. So can we please have the applicant Rock Kim? Hello, Rock, are you with us?
386 Young Street. I'm the behalf of the owner, 72 Pharmacy Avenue.
So, and is this Rock?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry,
Rock Kim.
thank you. We had just missed the earlier part of your, when you came in. All right, so thanks, Rock. We have your application before us for a minor variance application. There are no registered speakers. Would you, do you have a presentation or would you like to make a comment? We're vetting the agenda, so do you have any comment at this time?
Yeah, can I actually, I want to remove one of the comment. There is no back balcony of the second floor, so number 3
Where
has
is
to be
number
removed.
3?
There's number 3, 2 rear platforms. We don't need that. So.
Okay, staff, would you mind pulling up the public notice on the screen and highlight variance number 3? And the applicant would like to withdraw that, or that variance is no longer required. So members of the committee, do you have any questions or comments on this application or this particular request for withdrawal of the variance? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand we are at the vetting stage of this agenda, but Rock, could you quickly tell me, the application was deferred because there were concerns from the neighbor and you were trying to resolve those concerns. But surprisingly, this application came again to the committee with the same thing. The only amendment you are making now, rather than my concerns are about various 1 and 5. So could you just tell us how successful you were in resolving the neighbors' issues?
Yeah, so the owner was trying to talk to the neighbor. We got the letter actually after that. But before, we were trying to make the back side of the addition 7-meter two-story of the 7-meter depth, but we reduced it back to the 6-meter right now. But there is still have an issue because we are trying to get the variance for the front porch enclosure. That's part of the length issues. That's only ground floor. So without that, actually, we have only 15.76 meter. But because of the front enclosed porch, we made more than 70 meter. So I think that's the main issues of the front enclosure porch. And
So
then
what's my understanding, Rock? The application is almost in the same shape rather than the length issue is still there. And in addition to that, the software landscaping issue is still coming up. We have the letter of concern from the neighbor stating the same thing. Unless you just give us a good rationale for that, because yes, my concern about your front building setback from the front lot is another variance that you added, and which to me doesn't seem to be a minor variance.
Okay, so Mohammed, I think this begs a detailed discussion. I think if that's where you're leaning and if you want further information or discussion, then we would have to hold down this item. Is that what you want, to hold down this item and come back?
Madam Chair, I am okay with that. If the committee members, we can make a decision now rather than holding.
Okay, all right. Does any other committee member have any questions? I see none. All right, so Mohammed, do you wish us to proceed with the application or do you want to hold it down? I'm just confirming with you.
We can proceed. We can proceed further, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So members of the committee, yeah, we're going to put it up on the screen. So the application has been amended as confirmed by the applicant, Rock. Item number 3 or variance number 3 is being removed or being withdrawn. Okay, so please consider this in your motion. Please proceed with the motion. And I just want to confirm there are no conditions. Motion, please. Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'll put forward a motion for approval. I see that there's no
I know.
conditions
Okay,
for this application.
And the application as amended?
As amended. I'll put forward a motion for approval as amended.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the application as amended. May I have a seconder, please? There's no seconder? All right, the motion failed. Oh, Member Macaulay?
Madam Chair, I think I would prefer to have this item held. The applicant has sort of identified that the issue with the neighbor is is the sun porch, and he's not changing that. Perhaps we could have a further discussion of it rather than trying to do it while we're vetting the material.
And I did ask all the members if they had any concerns and what a matter to be held, and I didn't hear that. All right, I will hold down the matter for further discussion. So, Rock, I believe there are additional questions of the members of the committee, so we will hold down this matter and come back to it later. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so just for a reminder to the committee, when I'm asking that question, it is meant for exactly that reason. If you have concerns, let me know. We are going to hold it down during the vetting. Because if there are concerns, you need to give an opportunity to the applicant to defend or provide additional information to defend his case. All right, going to item 1 is being held for further discussion. Item number 2, I note that there is a list of registered speakers, so we will hold down this item. Item 2 is 46 Dempster Street, which is being held for further discussion. Item number 3, 21 WOOLWICK Drive. There are 3 speakers registered on this application, so we will hold down this item and come back. So item 3 is being held for further discussion, 21 WOOLWICK Drive. Item 4, 2008 Pharmacy Avenue. There are no registered speakers. Can I please have the applicant, Rob, please? Hello, Rob, are you with us?
Yes, I am. My name is Rob Huot. I'm with Susan Spiegel Architect, and I'm representing the client on this file.
Thank you, Rob, for taking the time to be with us this morning. So we have your application before us. It's a very straightforward application requesting from 1 variance. And Rob, are you aware of the condition from Metrolinx? It's an advisory comment. There are no conditions. Sorry, my apologies. Have you had a chance to look at the advisory comments and you have any concerns or questions?
No, I do not. They seem to not really have a comment. I think they just said it may be an issue in the future, but
Yeah, it's just an advisory.
I don't think it's relevant to the variance we're requesting.
100%. Okay, perfect. Thank you for confirmation. Members of the committee, any questions for Rob? Member Saeed, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rob. As far as the variance is concerned, I am okay with that. You have 1 variance. My concern is, I was just wondering, you might have taken up this matter with the urban forestry already, because this development is going to, ultimately, you have to remove 2 trees are going to be removed and 3 trees are going to be injured. So have you already taken up this matter and this has been discussed with the urban forestry?
So sorry, I'm confused because we do have, we're in the process of getting a building permit for the rest of the project, but for this variance, the variance request only involves moving a wall less than 1 meter underneath the canopy. So on the matter of this variance, there's no trees, there's no trees involved.
There's no trees involved, Mohammed, in the application. We did receive the memo from urban forestry and there are no comments or conditions.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Madam Chair. But in the materials somewhere, the applicant has mentioned that they are going to remove 2 trees and 3 trees are injured. Rather, they have a plan also for the replacement of those trees, but there was nothing from the urban forestry. So I thought maybe this matter has already been taken up with urban forestry.
If there was, we would have been notified, but there's not. Okay. Any further questions?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I am okay with that as far as the variance is concerned. I am supportive of that.
Okay, so can I have a motion, please? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The variance before the committee, I understand there is only 1 variance and that is minor. Madam Chair, I therefore put forward motion for approval of item number 4 and there are no conditions attached to that.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Okay, we now move to item 5. Item 5 is 3089 Danforth Avenue. There are no registered speakers. We do have the planner, Jane McFarlane. Jane, are you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of committee. Jane McFarlane, I'm a planner with Weston Consulting, the planner on behalf of the owner and the application before you today.
Thank you, Jane. Jane, do you have any comments at this time?
I don't. Maybe a couple. I'll keep it very brief unless there's a desire to hear a full planning presentation from the committee. I do note that this application is running concurrent with a site plan application for the subject property. We've already done one round of submissions and received comments from staff. Some of the changes which have resulted in some of the variances before you today resulted in a design charrette that we had with urban design, in particular some of the proposed protrusions to the angular plane for the back of the building at the upper stories, including the balconies. I do note that planning has no concern, transportation has no concern. We have a loading study and a parking study on behalf of our transportation consultant, Lee Consulting, to support the variances related to parking and loading. And I note there's no matters with urban forestry.
Thank you, Jane, for confirming that. And just for record, we have received Metrolink's comments. There are no conditions, but some advisory comments. So thank you for that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Jane? All right, if there are no questions or comments, may I please have a motion? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Jen, for giving all the requisite information in your application package. I went through all these. There were very tight planning there, especially when the angular plane is there. But whatever choices were available, you have used that. So I am satisfied. These variances minor. Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item number 5, and there are no conditions to that.
Thanks, Member Said. Seconder, please. Member Igor, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll second this motion for approval.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
We now move to item 6. Item 6 is 126 ELINOR Avenue, and there are no speakers on this list. Can I please have the applicant, David Lang? This is item 6, 126 ELINOR Avenue. Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can now. Good morning, David.
Good morning, how are you?
Thanks. Please go ahead. We have your application before us, and do you have any comments at this time?
No, I'm hoping it's a fairly straightforward application. I'm happy to answer any questions from the panel members if they have any.
Thank you. Are you aware of the comments from Urban Forestry and the condition that's been recommended?
Yes, we're currently in the middle of discussing with them the comments. The planner I was supposed to speak to is not until Monday, so I was hoping to have more comments today, but we are working with them.
Okay, all right. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for David? Member McKay, please go ahead.
David, just in connection with variance 3 relating to a platform, is that a rear platform that you're asking at variance for?
Yes, it's over a flat roof area on the back of the house. The second floor is stepped in, so the owner was hoping to accommodate the area right outside their bedroom, sort of as a functional feature. It's on the back of the house, yes.
On the back of the house, okay. It's a fairly large variance in the sense of course, 4 square meters are usual. standard for a platform. Is there any ability to reduce that requested 30.72 meters? Reduce
Sorry,
that platform somewhat.
sorry, I didn't get the end there of your
Just
question.
asking if you thought you could make some change there, would entertain something that would make the platform a little smaller. The variance request is for 30.72 meters. Any way to reduce that?
Yeah, probably. I guess we can do that. It's the flat roof area is fairly large. We had proposed to do the balcony over the entire area, but we can certainly step it back from the edges to create more privacy, or even include privacy fencing if that would make sense.
All right. Are you able to give us a figure in terms of square meters then that this could be done by?
Well, it's a fairly large area. Like if I were to step it away from the edges so there was more setback from the edge of the roof line, I guess we could get it down to about 20 square meters.
All right, that would be satisfactory to me.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. So, David, then you confirmed that now that the requested variance for the platform would be 20 square meters, and that would be variance number 3?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so staff, could you please highlight that on the screen? The area of the proposed platform is 20 square meters. Members of the committee, any questions or comments on this change or the application?
Through the chair, we're going to, we've just posted it online or on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that to everyone that it's on the screen, and it's been revised to 20 square meters and has been confirmed by the applicant. Okay, all right, thank you very much, David, for your time. Members of the committee, I take the matter into committee now. The applicant is aware of the condition of urban forestry and has no concern, and the application has been amended, as was shown on the screen. And I cannot see Member Muhammad or Member Igor, so I'm going to call the names. Can I have a motion, and who would like to put forward a motion? Oh, they're back. All right, Member Macaulay, we'll start with you.
I'll put forth a motion for approval as amended. And I don't see any conditions, sorry.
There is a condition of
I
urban
was
forestry.
expecting Mr.
Urban forestry.
McKay
There
to
is-
be able to put forth the motion.
There is a condition of urban forestry, Member Macaulay.
Okay, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
So I have a motion on the floor to approve the application as amended, subject to conditions of urban forestry. I'm going to start now. Member Muhammad, yes or no?
Yes.
Member Igor, yes or no?
Yes.
Member McKay, in favor or not in favor?
Yes, in favor.
Thank you. I'm also in
Yes.
favor of this motion. Did I second it? I didn't even second it.
No.
Who was the seconder on this application?
Madam Chair, you need a seconder.
I know. This is the thing with technology sometimes. So Member McKay, you second the motion? And,
Yes, that's correct, Madam.
okay, so Member Macaulay put forward the motion, Member McKay seconded the motion, and all in favor of this motion?
Yes.
Yes, the motion's carried. Thank you. And the application has been approved subject to condition of urban forestry.
Thanks very much.
Staff, is this an issue from our end that I can't see the videos, or it's very distracting?
Through the chair, there may be city bandwidth issues. So it is what it is. You're doing the correct, your approach is correct.
Yeah, but I'm in the middle of it and it disappears, so I know, I understand that. I just have to pay a little bit more attention to the screen now.
We will let you know.
Okay, thank you. All right, so item 6 was approved. We are going to move to item 8 now. Item 8 does not have registered speakers, so we can deal with this application. Item 8 is 79 WESTCROFT Drive. Can I please have the applicant, Gabriella?
Gabriela
Gabriella.
Grigoriou. I'm the applicant.
Thank you, Gabriella. We have your application before us. We're vetting the agenda. Do you have any comments at this time?
No, I don't have any comments. This is a very small structure which actually crumbled during the installation of a whipping tile. And we just want to rebuild it in the exact same size, shape, and height. It is access to the basement, so it's a stairwell.
Okay, thanks, Gabriella, for confirming that. And there are no conditions of approval recommended by any department or agency. Members of the committee, do you have any comments or concerns? I'll start with Member Mohammed. Mohammed, do you have any concerns or questions?
Madam Chair, I have no concern for that.
Member Igor?
Madam Chair, no concerns.
Thank you. Member Macaulay?
No concerns.
Member McKay?
No concerns.
All right, there are no questions or concerns. Can I please have a motion? I'll start with, who wants to put forward a motion? Can you please speak up?
Madam Chair, I
I'll
can
put the
put,
motion, Madam Chair.
All right,
I
Member,
put forth the motion to approve. I put forth the motion to approve this application. There are no conditions.
thank you. May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, this is Mohammed. I second the motion for approval of item 8, and there are no conditions to that.
Thank you. Member Mohammed seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Member Igor?
I'm in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Member McKay?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. I'm also in favor of the motion. So the motion is carried and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 9. Item number 9 is 21 FLERIMAC Road. There are no registered speakers on this application. Can I please have the applicant, Ida Evangelista?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 21 FLERIMAC.
Thank you.
Would you like a brief presentation, or does my submission cover any answers that you may or may not have, or may have?
Okay, thank you for that, Ida. I will ask the committee if they need a presentation. However, before I proceed, have you had a chance to look at conditions of approval, recommended conditions of approval from Urban Forestry and Community Planning?
I have, Madam Chair, and we are in agreement with the conditions from planning, substantially in accordance to, and urban forestry. We will be protecting the tree, yes.
Thanks, Ida, for confirming that. Members of the committee, I can now see all except Member Igor. So would you like Ida to make a presentation, or are you okay with it? So I don't see any hands up on the screen, but Member Igor, do you have any questions, or would you like a presentation?
Through the
I'm
chair,
here, Madam Chair.
through the chair, everybody's appearing by video, so.
I can just see him now. I couldn't see him earlier. Okay. Otherwise, I would not have asked. All right, I can see all of you now. And then, Igor's again disappeared, but that's okay. Igor has confirmed that he does not have any questions or presentation.
Okay. I clearly indicated on the on my submission, what the various setbacks are, and just to give everybody a clear picture of, the two variances, and it's only relating to the south side, not the north side. So I believe with my submission, it's very self-explanatory. It's just for the garage portion.
Okay.
And this is something that is very characteristic in the neighborhood.
Okay, thanks for that, Ida. Member Macaulay, your hand's up. Please go ahead.
Madam Chair, if there's no other issues, I am prepared to put forth the motion for approval, subject to that the applicant builds in accordance with the site plan and urban forestry conditions.
Okay, all right. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, I second that motion to approval with those conditions.
All right, so I can see everyone now. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved subject to conditions. Thank you. All right, moving to the next item, item 11, and item 11 does not have any registered speakers, and it is for 15 Annandale Road. Can I please have Mike D. Oliveira with us? Hello, Mike, are you with us?
Good morning, committee. My name. Hello. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, committee. My name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 15 Annandale Road, and I'm with Replacement Design, located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, thank you for coming to see us today. Mike, I am going to ask the committee if they have any questions or would like to have a presentation from you. Committee members? There are no conditions as well. Any questions, any comments? I see none, all right. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, can I please have a motion on this application? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The variances, 3 variances before the committee, I believe these are minor and appropriate. Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item 11, and there are no conditions for this approval.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Igor, go ahead, please.
I'll second this motion for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item 12 is 18 East Road. I note that there are speakers registered to speak on this application, so we will hold down this item, and this is for 18 East Road, is being held for further discussion. Item 14. Item 14 is 66 Bellamy Road South. There are no registered speakers on this, so can we please have the applicant with us, and that would be Jonathan Benskowski.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I'm here for 66 Bellamy Road South.
All right, thank you. Any comments at this time, Jonathan?
Just that I did review some of the background material the neighborhood association put in, these kind of wartime bungalow dwellings. I would just say that, again, Bellamy Road South here is a major street in the official plan. The dwelling is proposed to be built as per the front, rear, side, as well as all height requirements of the zoning bylaw. The massing is what is envisioned under both the official plan as well as the zoning bylaw, and that's essentially it.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Jonathan?
No.
All right, I don't see any questions or comments. If not, I note that there are no conditions of approval from any department or agency. Can I have a motion, please? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pretty straightforward application with 1 variance before us, which is pertaining to FSI. Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item 14, and there are no conditions to that.
Thank you, Member Mohammed. May I have a seconder, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yes, I second that motion to approve this application without condition.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you. We go to item 15 now. Item 15 is 115 East Avenue. There are no registered speakers. Can I please have the applicant, Andriy Golovnia? Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of committee. My name is Andriy Golovnia. I'm the registered agent.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking the time to speak with us today. We have your application before us. You've requested 2 variances. Do you have any comments at this time?
Yeah, the main purpose of this application is to provide barbecue space for retired owners. So yeah, I would say it's not significant deck, but because their ground floor is located at this at the grade level, and their backyard to go to outside, they need to go through the basement, and that's why they want to have proper deck to be able to enjoy summer at their backyard.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for that explanation. Yes, I do see that it is a minor addition at the back for the enjoyment of the space in the backyard. All right, members of the committee, any questions or any comments? I know that there are no comments, no conditions from any department or agency. I see none. All right, can I please have a motion? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll put forward a motion for approval of this item.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor for approval by Member Igor. May I have a seconder, please? Member McCauley, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Member McCauley seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved for 115 East Avenue. Thank you. Item 16. Item 16 is for 3430 Lawrence Avenue East. There are no registered speakers. May I please have the applicant or the architect speaking on behalf of the owner, Paul?
My name is Paul Didor, and I'm representing the applicant the owner in this application. The variances, I think, are not huge, and we're only asking, we've basically dealt with pretty well all the comments that came from staff earlier on, and we're asking for a variance for the area of the building. Currently, the building has a partial second story on it, and we wanted to fill out that roof to create a full second story. That's the gist of the application. All the other comments have been addressed. We are going to provide a barrier-free parking space and a space with a charging unit. There was some other, I think that was all of the comments that came in.
Okay. All right, thank you for confirming that, Paul, for us. Members of the committee, do you have any questions? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification from the applicant for variance number 4.
Right.
I think we may need to, you may think to change this variance because you are providing one parking spot with the energized outlet, where the variance says there is 0 parking spaces. Just correct me on that.
That is correct. Our site plan does show a one parking space with an energized outlet. So I'm not sure why this showed up as a variance, but it's still there. Same thing with the accessible. I think the comments from traffic basically substantiate that we are providing both those items, the accessible parking and the energized outlet parking space.
I would be hesitant in removing that, as Paul, if you've confirmed that you are providing, and if you have, then whether it remains or not doesn't really make a difference. I mean, when the variance remains or not doesn't really make a difference, but because we do not have any update from our building division for zoning, I would be hesitant in removing that particular variance. But if you're comfortable, if you're confident that has already been taken care of, then it wouldn't really make a difference.
Okay, that would be fine then. Sure.
Okay. All right. On that note, any further questions? There are no comments, questions. All right. Can I?
Through the chair, I think Member McKay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Member McKay, go ahead, please.
Just revisiting that variance 4 again, though, don't you think we should remove then the last line that says, zero new parking are provided?
Member McKay,
And just leave the, yep.
I
Go
hear
ahead.
you. I hear you, and I think it was very similar to the comment made by Member Said as well. But I would be hesitant in making any amendments to the application without any confirmation from our zoning department. So that's why I'm a little hesitant.
All right. Great, thank you for that.
I mean, I don't want to be in a
response.
situation where we remove it and for any reason it was needed and then they have to come back. The applicant is confident that they've done what they're required to do. So I would kind of leave it at that, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine, Madam Chair, and therefore I'm prepared to put forward a motion to approve the application, and I know that there are no conditions.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried and the application has been approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item number 17 is the last item on the morning agenda, on morning session, and there are no registered speakers, so we can deal with item 17. 111 Dorset Road. Can we please have the applicant, Imran Khan? Hello, Imran, are you with us?
Hello. Yeah, good morning, Madam Chair and member of the committee. This is Architect Imran, and I'm on behalf of the owner for this presentation. My address is 1906 Parkside Drive, Pickering.
Okay.
Ontario L1, V3 and 5. Thanks.
Thank you, Imran. Do you have any comment at this time on your application? We have received, we have it before us and everything that was submitted with it, we have it. I know that you have amended the application as well. And if I request staff to just pull up for reference the amended application on the screen, which is pretty much the removal of variance number 6. Can you please confirm that the application has been amended as shown on the screen?
Yeah, this came after the second review of the zoning examiner, and this is not anymore applied for this area, this zoning bylaw, so we crossed, yeah.
Okay, so the applicant has confirmed that variance number 6 is no longer required, as is shown on the screen. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I see on the screen that item number 2 is for the building height, which is 9.46 meters, which is identical to item number 6. So he still wants the a variance for building height of 9.46 meters. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. This is as per the zoning bylaw number 569-2013. Yeah.
It's a different bylaw, member.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that, but he's still needing a height variance.
Yeah.
Even
Yes.
if we delete number 6.
That is
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
That's just a clarification.
Yeah, it's perhaps the way the height is measured in, in the two different bylaws. So the one that is under old bylaw, Cliff Crest Community Bylaw, that is no longer required, but the one under 569/2013 is required.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. If there are no further comments, can I please, oh, sorry, one more thing. Imran, you are aware of the recommended condition from community planning in the community planning report?
Yeah, I'm informed and I'm agreed with them, yeah.
All right. Okay, can I have a motion, please, members of the committee? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Imran, for making these amendments. So, Madam Chair, I feel the variances before the committee are minor and appropriate. So I put forward motion for approval of item number 17 as amended, subject to the community planning staff report recommendations.
Thank you for that. May I have a seconder? Member Igor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll second that motion for approval.
Thank you. Member Igor seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So this brings us to the end of the agenda for the morning session, and we have dealt with first 17 items. I would like to do a little recap of the items that have been held, just so that we're all on the same page. So I'm going to read out. So item 1, 72 Pharmacy Avenue has been held. Item 2, 46 Dempster Street is held. Item 3, 21 Woolwick Drive is held. Item 12, 18 East Road is held. And that's about it. Okay, all right. So we will start with the first item that is held, and that is 72 Pharmacy Avenue. Can I please have Rock Kim, the applicant, online? Hello, Rock, are you with us?
Oh, hi, this Rock. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rock. We had started to do...
Yeah, this is Rock.
Yeah, so we started a little bit this morning to discuss about your application. Would you like to make a presentation, or would you rather dive right into the questions? Remember, Macaulay, I'm coming to you. Just give me a moment.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Presentation, short presentation about the yeah.
Yes, please.
There is a letter from the neighbors concerned. Yeah, there is about 4 or 5 concerns. The first one was about the owners issues. I think that's not part of the committee. The second one was like the length issues. I was explaining about the. I'm gonna explain with the site plan. Can you pull up the site plan of the this drawing?
Yeah, so staff's pulling it up, and Rock, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, the third one is a balcony. So balcony, we get rid of that, the rear setup, and then I'm sorry. Rest of them is about the fencing issues and the front driveway issues and construction issues. I think this is not part of the committee. As you can see, the front of the house, there was the existing porch. We are trying to enclose it, existing porch, and then driveway, we're not changing it. And then we are trying to remove the stair of the porch. And then, so technically, we're going to have more landscape at the front of the house. So we're not changing any front of the house part. We'll make the addition at the back side of house, the 2-story. The length is part of the front porch. So that's why it's a 3 feet, 0.9 meter bigger than the 17 meter what it requires by the zoning issues. So neighbor didn't really complain about there is no setback of the south side. She was complaining about the backside balcony. We're gonna get rid of that. The length issue, if you don't have like a front enclosed porch, still it's gonna be same length. We are trying to enclose it. That's all. I think that's the main issues of the front enclosed porch.
So what is the what is the neighbor's concern exactly as it relates to the front porch, which you're now enclosing, and that would then become a sunroom? What is the concern?
They're not really talking about the front enclosed part. They're talking about the back side of the second floor balcony. We're gonna get rid of that. And then driveway.
Sorry, just on that one. Just on that one. So you are indicating that the balcony on the second floor is being removed?
Yes. The back side, yes.
Okay, can we take a look on the plan then? And that would be A4. Staff, can you please have A4? There's no balcony there. I don't see a balcony there. Yep, there is no balcony there. So that is no longer a concern then? Okay.
Yeah, and then remove from the comment too, yeah.
Okay.
The zoning issues. Yeah.
Okay.
So technically, we don't change any front landscape or the porch area.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thanks, Rock. I'm sure, I know Member Macaulay had a question, had her hand up. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I still have a little bit confused here. I have that you're asking for 2 rear platforms. Is that no longer being proposed?
The notice has been removed. Number 3 has been removed, yes.
But it still shows on the notice that we had. Okay, so variance number 3.
Yeah,
It says that no more than a total of 4 platforms and no more than 1 on each of the front. And there are 2 rear platforms that were being proposed. So you're confirming that that variance is no longer required, is being withdrawn or removed?
Yeah, removed, yes.
Okay. Eric, could you please pull up the public notice and strike out variance number 3 for Rock to confirm? Okay, perfect. That has been removed. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair? Yeah, just for clarity, then the building length is still 17.92 meters.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. All right. Any other member? I can't see your video, so you'll have to speak up. Do you have any questions or comments? I can't see your hand, so you'll have to speak up. Mohammed, do you have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, can I have a short question from the
Yeah,
applicant?
please go ahead. We are discussing the application. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So I have a short question from the applicant. Still, like the neighbor's issue was not only the whether that was about the length of the building. So neither it's on the front yard or the backyard. The question is that you are increasing the length as compared to the previous application, but apparently I don't see what is the causes of that increase in the length, because what you said, you are just making a sunroom there and making an enclave of that. There is no further construction. So could you just give me a further information on this?
The original application, we didn't enclose the front part of the porch. Now we change it to front part of the porch enclosed. So 2.1 meter bigger, but the back side we reduce the length 1 meter.
So Mohammed, if I can clarify, because the front porch is being enclosed, that becomes part of for the calculation of the building length. Okay, so although they had reduced the addition at the back, but because of the enclosure of the sunroom, that now becomes a wall, which has to be included in the length of the building. Does that help you? I can't see you, so you have to say yes or no. I cannot see anyone anymore.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay, so the platforms have been removed. The clarification regarding the building length has been given. I'm going to go one by one and ask questions. Member McKay, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Igor, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Member Macaulay, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have any further questions as well. And I heard Member Muhammad didn't have any questions. I can see you all now. So on this note, if there are no further questions or comments, are we prepared for a motion? All right.
Madam Chair, I can move the motion.
Please go
Mohammed.
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With those clarifications from the applicant, in my opinion, these variances are minor, and the variance number 3 has been taken out. So, Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item 1 as amended, and there are no conditions.
Thank you very much for confirming that. May I have a seconder? I can see everyone, so you can raise your hand. Member Gary, go ahead, please.
Yes, I second that motion to approve.
Thank you. Member Gary seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved as amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now go to item number 2, which was held for discussion because of the speakers. 46 Dempster Street. Can I please have the applicant, Yu Ao? Hello, are you with us, Yu?
Members, I'm the agent Aoyu from LHW Engineer, and I'm here today on behalf of the owner of 46 Dempster Street, Scarborough.
Thank you, Ao Yu. Would you like to make a presentation or would you like to start with questions?
Sure, I will do the presentation.
Yeah, please go ahead and you have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. This application would propose a new story dwelling with a second dwelling unit and a 3-car garage. After the deferral of the previous hearing, 2 major variants has been improved, include reducing the height of building to 9.5 meter and the FSI to 0.58. So should mention at the beginning that the subject lot is inconsistent with the rest of the block due to a front concave deduction. This feature is a result of historical issue maybe related to the construction of the street and the block. There was supposed to be a dead end where the school bus could make a U-turn, but the lot line was not recovered to the street after the new street and the block was built. As a result, the lot has an irregular shape and create a challenge. It's important to take into consideration those unique features of the lot when evaluate all the proposed variants. The owner helped me to clarify first that after occupancy, the owner of the property intends to reside in the new dwelling unit with his wife and parents, while the second unit is designated for his son and daughter families, who is currently still renting a condo. The family prefer to have some privacy, but still not very far from each other, which is why the owner proposed the second dwelling unit. And the second dwelling unit is legitimate in this area as long as no more than 45% of the total interior area. There are 2 major variants, and the local presidency has been summarized in my cover letter. The major variance in this proposal is a higher floor space index than the local presidency. However, it's important to note that if we take into account the front concave deduction area, the floor space index reduced to 0.5, which is consistent with the local presidency. Additionally, the proposal has a parking space for the second dwelling unit that is included into the floor space in calculation, which further increased the FSI. Regarding the proposal for the additional garage, it's important to note that the benchmark to have a 3-car garage needs a front lot frontage of 24 meter. Well, this lot has a frontage of 23.4 meter, which is slightly less than the zoning requirement. The actual garage can guarantee that the owner can move his car without with no car blocking the driveway. Meanwhile, the actual parking space for the second dwelling unit is actually at the expense of occupying the floor space index, because only 2 parking spaces were deducted during the floor space calculation, and the third parking space is included into the floor area, but not usable as the interior floor space. In terms of the height, I want to make it clear that the height has been reduced from 10 meter with the setback increased from 1.8 meter to 2.15 meter in order to mitigate the height effect. The slope of 6 in 12 also allow more sunlight to cast to neighbor instead of like more steeper slope roof like 12 in 12. But the slope lower than the proposal will affect the overall aesthetic appeal of the building. In conclusion, we made to mitigate the concern raised in the previous hearing. The proposal is pursuing the quality development like the spacious room, various amenities, adequate parking space, and appealing look. Given the lot deficiency as well as the presidency of this area, it might be reasonable to consider the variance. The proposal also complies with the current Planning Act. We respectfully request that the variance could be deemed as minor in nature. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your presentation. Committee members, do you have any questions? Member Mohammed, go ahead, please. Member Mohammed, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
My apologies. My apologies for that. I was muted. Okay, so I would just repeat. I was just saying thank you to the applicant for making an effort for reducing the FSI. Still, as compared to the previous, it was 0.6 time, and now it's now been reduced to 0.5 time of the lot area. You could tell me one thing. On two different places on your drawings, I found the lot area. There are different number given. It's at one place it's 809.6 square meter, and also it says 891.5 square meter if no front curve. So could you explain on this point?
Yeah, for sure. I believe that this lot has like a unique feature. There's a curve, as you can see. If you pull out my cover letter, there is a curve deduction at the front. I believe this is probably because of the historical issue, and there was supposed to be a dead end for the public school across the street, and the school bus could make a U-turn in the past, but now the new block has been built, so the front this dead end was removed, but the front lot line wasn't recovered yet. That make the whole lot cannot satisfy with the current zoning bylaw. So that's the main reason.
Members say,
for
I
bringing
think,
it to the committee here today.
members say, I think although the lot area is not in discussion, there's no minor variance, but I think what the applicant is trying to demonstrate here is that portion, that curved portion of that semicircle portion, which is not part of the private property, it is quite unique.
Yeah, it's
and that is resulting into a reduced lot area, although the fabric is the same, but it's just because that portion is not included in private area, and they're trying to demonstrate the impact of that on the numeric value, on the numbers. Had that curvilinear portion been within the private property, the numbers would have been different.
No, that's yeah. If this front portion include in the lot area, then all the lot coverage and FSI will be different, and will consist with local presidency.
That's what this applicant is trying to demonstrate by showing two different lot areas. Okay. Or just the numbers, numeric values. Yeah, it's not two different lot areas, but it's the numeric value that they're trying to demonstrate that's affected. Okay.
Yeah, because ultimately it's going to impact the numbers toward the FSI. So that was related to that. But thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question? Although this has nothing to do with the application, but I'm just curious to know, has the applicant or the owner ever talked to the city about conveying that portion back to the private property owner? As is no longer needed?
Well, yeah, because the owner just bought this property, and before he bought it, he hasn't realized that there's a deficiency on this lot.
Okay.
So after that's so far he hasn't contacted city yet.
Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to know. I was just curious. Okay, Member Igor, please go ahead.
Sorry, just a clarification. So there currently is a curved driveway. Is that the case?
No, it's actually the straight driveway, but with a curved lot front line. So it's still straight. It's still straight driveway.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, and so your point.
Eric's
go ahead.
Eric's pulling up the site plan on the screen. So that is that lot fabric. That curve forms part. So that portion, that semicircle, is not in the ownership of the private property. That belongs to the city. So it's not the curved driveway. It's just the shape of the lot in that area. It was supposed to be a cul-de-sac at some point. Part of a cul-de-sac, like the road allowance had that, but since then, the plans have changed and that road has gone straight through. So that portion is sort of left over, a remnant part of a former lot road fabric. So that is still within the city's ownership. It has not been conveyed to the property owner.
Okay, so the comment around the school bus or whatever using that was previous, not currently.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you.
He was just trying to explain. He was just trying to explain that formally that was the intent of that cul-de-sac, but it's no longer needed because the road is now going straight through.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any further questions?
Okay.
All right. I see now. Oh, Member Eker, go ahead.
Sorry, just quickly. I'm just wondering from the applicant if they've spoken to the neighbors. There seems to be some sort of speculation that the applicant was perhaps going to speak to them. I'm just wondering if we can get some clarification on that.
Well, I actually demonstrate this curve deficiency in my cover letter, and I believe all the neighbor has read through my cover letter, and they realized that there's all the virus could caused by the front curve front line.
To your question, Igor, no.
Line.
To your question, Igor, there was no consultation except the communication that was sent out as part of this application, the cover letter.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, I would like to move forward with the speaking with the neighbors. So I will call upon the first neighbor who is registered to speak, and that would be Dav Ung and Maria Flor Luz Garcia from 165 Allen Ford Road.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we have you.
Hello, can you hear?
Yep. Yes, we can hear you, sir. You
good
have 5
morning,
minutes. Go
honorable
ahead.
Good morning, honorable community members, attendees, and neighbors. I'm David Ang with my wife, Maria Garcia, at 165 Allen Ford Road. We thank the community for hearing us out on this matter. For brevity, we will not go over the arguments already documented in our submissions. We also would like to add that Mr. Fazekas of DEMPSTER of 31 Marshall Drive has asked us to present his objection as well, to add to it for the record. We welcome new neighbors and do not object to home improvements or increasing residential space to help improve Toronto's housing problem. But the breadth and magnitude of the variances requested by 46 DEMPSTER without addressing the objections on record and the downstream potential harms and perils these variances pose to the health, safety and security of the occupants and the neighbors are too great to accept. The zoning bylaw is designed for the health and safety and well-being of the community. We join the authorities in upholding the law by complying with zoning bylaw all these decades of residing here. We note that the Committee of Adjustment application submitted by the applicant, quote, strongly recommend that you discuss the proposal with adjacent residents in order to address or alleviate concerns that may affect the disposition of your application, end quote. The applicant never did so. Instead, 46 DEMPSTER's owner and agents have only shown a lack of common decency and courtesy to their neighbors and the community at large by failing to contact and communicate with their neighbors, to openly discuss these concerns and find amicable consensus to resolve differences. Worse, they submitted a revised application that does not resolve the community's concern. Setback still 6 meters, proposed lot coverage still exceeds bylaw, garage width still beyond authorized, among other unresolved variances. In fact, their conduct to date shows an utter lack of commitment to the continued long-term well-being of the community and their disdain for the Canadian way of life that honors courtesy, fairness, inclusion, and accommodation, norms and traditions that benefit the entire community over and above greed, blind pursuit of personal gain and profit. Thus, we ask the committee to reject the totality of the application in form and substance, being on the whole a major variance of the existing bylaws and norms of conduct of the community that they actually do not wish to preserve, but to destroy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dav Ong. I appreciate your comments and your passion. I appreciate that the applicant did fail to meet with the residents and the neighbors. I agree with you that that should be the way, and that needs to happen. And we always encourage our applicants to do it. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can force or compel, but as goodwill and as, you know, and as good neighbors, that should occur. So your comments have been heard loud and clear on that issue. I know you made a general comment about the variances being major. Is there a specific one that you have concerns, or are you generally concerned with all the variances on this application? Because that's what we as a panel has to focus on.
Well, the height issue, for one, is still a major variance. It results in huge decline in our enjoyment, loss of privacy, loss of sunlight, and that has not been substantially resolved.
Sorry, you mean the height of the building?
The height of the buildings,
okay.
And as a result, windows facing us have a clear line of sight to
Okay.
our backyard, and also reduces the amount of sunlight.
Okay.
The
So the height,
shadowing.
yeah, so the proposed height is 9.45 and the permitted is 9. So there's a increase in 0.485 meters, which is approximately 1.5 to 2 meters height. So there's an increase of additional a foot to 2 feet, I would say 2 feet of height, and that is concern to you.
That's still a concern to us, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're understanding the application and the extent, so that then we can have some discussion based on facts. Okay, so you've concerned with the height request and windows. Unfortunately, the committee can't help you because we don't regulate location of windows. That is something that is mostly regulated through the Ontario Building Code, so I can't help you with that. Okay, all right. Thank you for speaking
Well,
with us.
there's also concerns about the lot coverage and the resulting loss of setback, and soft landscaping, for example. The owner has shown a past history of flaunting bylaw. They have attempted to construct a 21 square meter shed
Okay, that I
without
can't
any
help you. Sorry, Dev.
authorization, for
I
example?
would have to interrupt here, but I'm sorry, I can't help you with any of that. I can only help you with what is before the committee today. Okay? So thank you for explaining those concerns in detail. I just want to ask the committee members if they have any questions for you.
Okay.
All right, there are no questions, so thank you, Dev. Once we go back to the applicant would be able to respond to your concerns and questions and provide a justification for his application. Thank you very much. So moving on to the next neighbor, Arnold Rodrigo. Can we have Arnold, please? Hello, Arnold, are you with us? Please go ahead. You have
Hi.
5 minutes.
Hi, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Good morning, committee. My name is Arnold of 163 Allenford. I thank you for the time to allow me to address my concerns here today regarding this application. To address this quickly, my concerns are with the totality of the variances, not just one. The entirety of the variances requested do not constitute minor to me. I echo David's concerns, and I will not repeat them again as you already know them. However, I will speak and ask you all to consider the long-term impacts of this, right? The applicant has in their detailed plans several washrooms, and the agent has not done anything to address the potential impact on the sewage and water drainage that is designed here. There is a known history based on the previous development of this area that water and sewage are negatively impacted when neighbors try to share water resources. One concern we have is that given the several rooms outlined in the plan and the limited parking space are concerns that we will introduce further traffic into this neighborhood, more than what is already sustainable on Dempster Street. If we want to speak on precedents, as the agent Ao Yu has mentioned, 14 Lejeune Road is an example which the neighbors have sought the approval of the community and Nick Mantis, our counselor, to support their application. Number 2218 Kennedy Road was a building that was reconstructed to include a second-story augmentation to the remaining structure after a fire. The resulting impact of that construction shows us that it is in fact being used as a rooming house. They do not have capacity for parking and therefore cause significant traffic and danger to pedestrians. What I'm trying to say is that the issues and concerns that we have outlined for 46 Dempster Street come from known precedents. We already observe it from 48 and 50 Dempster Street, and allowing 46 to continue will only worsen the problems that we have. The applicant's agent speaks on the matter of addressing affordable housing in Toronto. However, given the reasoning provided in his cover letter and the owner's intent speaks very different intents and brings into question what this property is really going to be for. If we are to address affordable housing in this area, the plan should not be for small 200-ish square foot rooms to be considered the standard, including washrooms, to be the standard of affordable housing in Toronto. That is frankly unacceptable. If we are talking about affordable housing once more. The owner has a precedence of continuing to use his house as a short-term rental on Airbnb. And given the history and conduct of this applicant, we have no reason to believe the assertions put forward by you and the applicant. And therefore, we stand as a community in asking the committee to reject this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arnold, for speaking with us. And I do note that we have your written submission on record as well, and committee has received it on the agenda. You've raised comments around washrooms and sanitary capacity and allocation, and the issue that I have is that we don't have that. That matter in particular is not under the jurisdiction of this committee. Through the building permit process, however this application gets approved in whatever shape or fashion, whatever this capacity requirements would be or the sanitary requirements would be, that would be taken care of at that time through the building permit process, and engineering gets involved and so on. So unfortunately, I cannot help you. When it comes to number of bedrooms and washrooms, those are the matters that the committees, this committee in particular, cannot help you with. What is presented to us, and I appreciate you as a resident, you are aware of what happens on this property and what has this been traditionally used as, but what is before us is to allow a new dwelling, which is permitted in the zoning. Should this property, when it gets developed in whatever shape or fashion, and it ends up being used for any other purpose than a residential dwelling, then that would be something that the residents would have to take up with the city directly. What I can help you with is the variances that are before us, which you have quite artfully explained to us your concerns, and as well as in written submission as well. So I see your concerns. You have concerns with the totality of the application, and that is what I'm going to ask the applicant to further clarify and provide his justification on. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Arnold? Member Igor, please go ahead.
No question for the individual, but Madam Chair, I'm wondering if you can just, and apologies if you mentioned this and I missed it, to just explain to the public and to folks around concerns around waste management and water and whatnot, and how that is how that's considered after Committee of Adjustment has made our decision.
Okay, thanks, Member Igor. I can certainly take a stab at it. So in terms of waste management and traffic, again, those matters are not under the purview of this committee, as much as all those are related to the development, but those matters are something that this committee in particular cannot help. For waste management and traffic and all other property maintenance standards, for example, snow removal or parking or whatever, that would have to be dealt with directly with the city. With this application, which I again reiterate is for a single detached residential dwelling, the required number of parking spaces is, I believe, and I don't want to say that, but I believe it's 2, and those parking spaces are being provided. How this property evolves or morphs into and is being used, and how many, and then, if there are parking issues, that would have to be dealt with directly with the city at the time. There's an avenue for complaints with the city. You can complain to the city and then and see how the city can help you with. Waste management, again, is something that is beyond the jurisdiction of this committee as well. Water allocation, sanitary capacity, those are matters that would be dealt with through the building permit application. So with any new development, the infrastructure, the servicing infrastructure is analyzed, and a permit gets issued when the city is satisfied that the proposed development can be serviced appropriately. I hope that answers or addresses your concerns or questions, Igor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Committee, I would like to say thank you for the time. However, I would like to reiterate that systemically, our issues can be resolved from the beginning with this committee. And I would like the committee to take into consideration the sheer volume of objectors that have put forward their names. in the past, and their addresses have not been concerned.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that comment. Thank you for that comment, Arnold. We'll move to our next neighbor, Yulin Wen. Yulin, are you with us?
Well, I'm Yulin Wen. I'm the owner of 44 DEMPSTER Street, so next to 46. I object this proposal for the main three reasons. The first, we are facing the public elementary school, so there'll be lots of traffic in the morning and pickup times. So, if they have the multiple car parking, so that'll be causing the serious problem here. The second one is, I think the agent of the owner is lying, because I think they are proposed for business-oriented new dwellings, not for like a big family for two families. We met each other, so we want to be good neighbors. But I know that their children have their residence, but I don't think that they will live together. So this one is definitely for business oriented. It's for housing room. Okay, and the major one is we are the most impact the residents. So the building, the new house is very big, it's too deep and too high, and it's completely blocked the sunlight to our backyard. So our life is totally ruined if this one is built. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Yulin, for speaking with us. I just want to make a general comment. I would prefer if the speakers, or anyone for that matter, in speaking, bear sort of respect for each other and not make accusations as like someone's lying or saying anything incorrect. I would refrain from using those terms. But I do hear your concerns, Yulin. You have concerns with the application. However, or whoever uses the property going into the future, whether it's the owner or whether it's their children or whether they rent the space to someone, in accordance with the zoning, which is for single detached dwelling, that is something that we can control at this stage, or even we just can't control that. That's a prerogative of the property owner. So unfortunately, and whether this is being used as a business, if it's a business, if it's a rental, if it's a Airbnb or any of those things, those are all licensed and they all require permits from the city, and the city looks at those proposed requests and permits and make the decision accordingly. I can't speak at this time, nor can this committee speak at this time as to how this building would potentially be used or what can we do at this point to stop that. If that should occur in the future, the residents are well within their rights to contact the city and then make the complaints accordingly. And then the city will then take care of the matter. So I hope that's helpful, but I do hear your concerns with this application. You are concerned with the impact of this development in its totality on adjacent neighbors, and in particular yourself, because you are the immediate neighbor to this property. So I appreciate the time you took to speak with us. Members of the committee, do you have any questions of the applicant? Oh, sorry, the speaker. Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yulin, I have this question for you because you are the immediate neighbor. Maybe it's a repetition. Earlier, as David mentioned, there have been no consultation with the neighbors, right? And I understand this process started somewhere in November last year. So my question is specifically to you. I just want to hear from you because you are the next door neighbor. Have you ever been consulted by the applicant or the owner? And also, do you see that the applicant is trying to reduce the FSI? They have made enough efforts, and you see this time the application, there is a reduction in the FSI. Do you still feel, as you said in your presentation, that this is a massive as you said, it's a deep and a big home which is impacting you?
They never talked to me for the bigger plan. So they told me that they're going to do renovating. We told them, yeah, we welcome you, improve your living condition. But we only know there's a plan after we get the notice from city.
Okay, so Mohammed, to your question, I don't think that consultation has occurred. Okay, there's been effort on part of the residents, and we will get additional clarification from the applicant once we get to the applicant. Okay, all right. Thank you, Yulin, for speaking with us. I will move on to speak with your neighbor, another neighbor, Maureen Koram. Maureen, are you with us? Hello, Maureen, are you with us?
Sorry, Madam Chair, can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, Maureen, just for a second, we can hear you well. Just for a second, hold on. Members of the committee, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay, all right. Member Gary, you're good?
Yes, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, Maureen, thank you for joining us today. You have 5 minutes. Please go ahead and tell us what your concerns are with this application.
Good morning, Committee of Adjustment. My name is Maureen Coram and I live at 47 Dempster Street, which is immediately opposite the proposed new home to be built. My objections are to the height, the width, and the depth of the house. This is on this street, the bungalows are approximately just under 1,000 square feet. This home building that they plan on putting up is more like a motel. It is about 5 or 6 times the square feet of the adjoining homes. The 6 bedrooms all have full bathrooms plus 2 washrooms. The owner told the councillor when he phoned to find out what was going on that the second unit said that his son would move in. The engineering company sent you a letter stating that the need for affordable housing will be used in one of the units. Right now, the owner and his wife live in the basement and they rent the upstairs as Airbnb. 2 of the original 8 bylaw infractions on the report from the City Planning Department have changed slightly but are still over the allowed amount. The other 6 bylaw infringements have not been addressed. There are 17 neighbourhood homes on this street and the Allenford Road, which surround the proposed building, have all signed to say that they don't want this enormous building put on this lot. There will be no way that they can have the runoff from the roof because there's no room on either side of the house for this runoff to come. There'll be no room in the backyard. And as someone's already mentioned, the item that's classed on the plan as the back as grass has got a 21 square meter shed being built. It was being built without a permit, and they were told to stop doing that. They haven't dismantled the building, but they've stopped building it. The the floor and some of the walls are up already. So, you know, I see every day the house being rented out as an Airbnb. And as my letter states, I can't see that they would do anything but that. So I'm afraid we're just so, everybody in the area is upset about this enormous structure that's proposed. And we ask that you turn this application down. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen, for speaking with us. And thank you for bringing some matters to the attention, if not this committee, to staff here regarding other issues such as buildings of structures without permits and so on. But unfortunately, that's something that we can't help you with. What we can help you with is the impact of this application and the variances that are before us. And we heard your comments around how, in your opinion, these variances are not minor, they are major, and that it's resulting in something that that is something that you don't agree with, or you feel that is not appropriate. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Maureen? I see none. All right, thank you. All right, Maureen, stay tuned. We will, I'm sure the applicant is making some good notes, and we will see what the responses would be. Moving on to speaking with our next neighbor, and that would be Edmund Reribian Saki. Edmund. Hello, Edmund, are you with us?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you, Edmund. And you have 5 minutes, sir. Please go ahead and state your name and address.
Good morning. My name is Edmund Saki, and it's 119 Nettie Drive. I'm directly north of 46 Dempster, so we share the property line together. So a lot's been said already, so without trying to repeat, without repeating what anyone else said, I guess I'm very respectful that everyone has the right to do what they want within the confines of what the community has set forth, right? That we can do. And going outside of those confines brings us here today. So I just want to, I had a problem understanding, is there a minimum setback from the proposed structure's back lot line? And where does this proposed structure sit in relation to that, if there is a minimum setback from the back lot line?
Okay, so if I can just seek additional clarification, and may I request Eric to please pull up the site plan on the screen. The speaker would like to get some clarification on the setback. So coming to you, Edmund, are you asking about any rear yard setback, like a distance from the building to the rear property line?
Yes, exactly. That would be our shared fence line.
Okay, so Eric, could you please zoom in into the rear yard? And what we see here, Edmund, is the proposed rear yard setback is 12.15. And what I can confirm with you is we do not have any variance before us that is seeking relief from the requirement of the required side yard setback, rear yard setback. So what is shown here is in compliance with the required rear yard setback.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
Okay.
So with the building height, I do have issues with the building height. I'm directly north of this proposed structure, and if I got to look out my second story window, and I gotta tilt my neck up to see clear daylight, I think that's gonna affect me and my family. I'm being funny, but it's gonna be the Hoover Dam of all walls. And if I'm in my backyard, and I gotta look out every day, and I gotta see this massive structure a few feet away from me, and it's not just a slim dwelling. It's gonna go from lot line to lot line, which is also a concern, right? Left to, one side to the other. So I think that should be something that the builder, the owner takes into consideration, and maybe just keep it within the limits of what everyone else has done so far, what the city's allowing. Besides if you drive down that road, there is nothing that's that tall. So what's that going to do for the lay of that land? How's that going to look for that street, towering above all of the neighbors? But for me personally, looking out, 3 feet, I think that's the difference. Half a meter, close to half a meter, it will make a difference. I think it's tall already. What's the city limit? This is going to make it that much taller. So maybe they can consider reducing it to the 9 meters. The floor index, right? So when I look at the plans, it looks like it's going to end up to be a quadplex. Now I know you've spoken about this, and there's nothing you can do, but that's what I see. So main unit, main floor, 3 units up top, and then maybe actually 5-plex, and then he's got a basement entrance. Means that's going to be a unit afterwards. So where are all these people going to go for their green space? They're going to come into the backyard, and they have a right to, and he should provide that space for them. Now I know, again, I'm just speaking as a neighbor, and this committee can't address this, but if there's that much space in the house, 0.586 right now, and the law permits 0, going over it by that much means you can put that many more people there. Those people need green space. They're going to come out in the backyard, and it's their right to, and then it's already a dump in the backyard there, but that's their business. And then we're never going to have any quiet time because of everyone who's going to be coming and going. And again, I know you can't address that, but that's what this proposed increase in the FSI is going to do. It's going to just allow to put more people in there, and those people need somewhere to go. 2 doors down, it's the same thing. It's a rooming house, and they have a right to be in the backyard, and there's a lot of them. And I mean, there's a lot of them. And that's still a bungalow. So what's going to happen when this thing goes up? How many people can we fit into that building? So I have a problem with that, and maybe they can consider reducing that.
Okay.
I don't want to say to 0, but that's the committee's position.
Okay, thanks, Edmund. We've reached your 5 minutes, so I appreciate that you acknowledge that there are certain matters that are beyond the committee's purview. I mean, but it's good that you're here, you're speaking to those, and staff are listening, and those are on record. So if need be, you can always go back and refer to these comments that you made at the committee. But again, as you acknowledged as well, unfortunately, I can't help you with how this is going to operate, as in the future, what we have on paper is a single detached dwelling, and what goes into the house in terms of number of beds and washrooms is something that we have no jurisdiction on. Yes, it may appear to someone as a 4-plex or a triplex or more than 2 units, or could be operating as a Airbnb. But again, there are rules and requirements in place and permit requirements in place for those businesses and those uses, which the applicant would have to go through the right channels to obtain. And of course would have to confirm if it's permitted in the zone. So I'm going to leave it at that. Committee members, and I heard your comments about the height, and you do acknowledge that the permitted height is 9 meters, and what is being requested would, in your opinion, is not appropriate and would affect you. What's there on the street right now are mostly single-story bungalows, and of course, these are, I would say, from the 50s and the 60s post-war bungalows, which were, a single story. The bylaw permits as of right 9 meters, so anyone on that street can build up to 9 meters, and what's being requested to this application is a little above 9 meters, and we will ask the applicant an opportunity, if there's an opportunity, to reduce it to 9 meters when we go to the applicant. Committee members, any questions of Edmund? I see none. Okay, thank you all the speakers and neighbors who took the time to come and speak to us today. I would now go to the applicant, Ao Yu. Ao, are you with
Yes,
us?
thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay. So Ao,
Yeah,
you,
I'm
you
still with
heard
you.
all, I hope you made some good notes. There were some good comments and concerns that were raised by the neighbors who are being directly impacted by this proposed development. There are certain things that we committee can't help, but if we can have you respond to those, that would be great as well. And of course, you heard about the variances itself. So you have 5 minutes to respond to all those concerns that were raised, and your time starts now.
Right. Thanks for letting me answer the neighbor's concern. Yeah, first need to mention that considering the building scale, the building of 66 Dempster Street, if you look at the map, is much larger than the subject property. So yeah, so if you scale it and take down to the Dempster Street, there is a like gigantic building on the down to the Dempster Street, which is 66 Dempster Street on the yeah, on the north, south, west, east side, on the east side. Yeah, this building, if compare with this building, our building is basically same scale with this one and on the same block. And let me answer. Another concern is about Airbnb. Typically speaking, it's quite common for the owner to rent it out building for the short-term rental during the planning stage. After all, the owner cannot leave his home unoccupied during the minor variance application and the building permit application process. Renting it out for short-term is the best option to balance the mortgage during the uncertain time period and provide more flexibility for the owner. Additionally, this zone allows for the short-term rental as long as no more than 3 bedroom. And the owner also obtained the license from city as well for the short term for Airbnb. Also, again, I would clarify that the proposed plan is not for the rooming house, but rather the main dwelling with a second dwelling, which is also allowed by this zone. If we solely focus on maximizing the profit, the house could end up being even denser than the proposed plan. This could mean that each room is only minimum size allowed by the building code, merely 100 square feet, to accommodate as many rooms as possible and to try to increase profitability. Clearly, the proposal is trying to provide adequate living space for improving the quality of life. In response to the concern about the number of washroom, we would like to clarify that we will definitely apply for the plumbing permit and will address the number of washroom if necessary, based on the capacity of a hydraulic pipe. However, it's quite nowadays to equip each bedroom with its own washroom to avoid any conflicts such as issues with timing or sharing of the personal sanitary belonging. This is another proof that the owner is pursuing the quality of development. Also, well, I should mention again that there are only 6 bedroom with 3 in, if you look at the second story plan, there are only 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, 5 bedroom with 3 bedroom for the main dwelling unit and the 2 bedroom for the second dwelling unit. And they are going to be the main dwelling unit is still being used by the owner, and the second dwelling unit is going to be used by his son and daughter or daughter. But even in the future, the client may change his idea and rent it out. It may attract more young families to move in this convenient place. Like I said, it's right across the street. The school is right across the street, and the mall is like 5 minutes away from here. So they can let their kids to go the local school, and they can have a convenient place to work, to stay to work nearby.
I just want to interrupt to tell you that you have 17 seconds left. Could you please comment on the height of the building, and if there's an opportunity to reduce the height of the building and bring it down to 9 meters, which is in compliance with which would be in compliance with the zoning bylaw?
Okay. Yeah, I will bring the height to the 9 meter, to comply with the current zoning bylaw.
So you can meet the zoning requirement of 9 meters, and you're willing to withdraw that variance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm willing to withdraw this variance, reduce from 9.5.
Okay, so for all those listening and committee members, please note that the applicant is withdrawing variance number 5, which is the height of the building, and that it would be in compliance with the zoning bylaw, a requirement of 9 meters. Okay, thank you for accommodating that change, Ao. I think height was something that was raised as a concern by a number of residents, so I appreciate your willingness to comply.
Yeah, for sure. I will listen to the neighbors' concern and bring it down.
Okay. All right. That's all from me. I would now open the floor for committee members for questions and comments. We'll start with Member Macaulay. Please go ahead. Member Macaulay, you're on mute.
Sorry. I have a couple of questions to staff, if they could clarify for me. Unfortunately, I don't have my paper copies of the items in front of me. The question I have is for FSI, the request is 0.0586 for a total floor area of 473 square meters. The existing permission is 0.4. Can staff do the calculation to determine what would the 0.4, what would be the size of the dwelling unit at 0.4? I want to see the magnitude of the change.
Through the chair, staff cannot provide zoning interpretations. However, the applicant can, based on the lot area shown in the site plan.
Thanks for that. So, Ao, could you please provide a numeric value for floor space index at 0.4 times the lot area? Could you please provide us with the square meters or square footage?
Well, the current lot area is 800 square meter, and if you look at my site plan, there's a zoning table, and
yeah. So
if FSI is 0.4, then the total FSI, the allowable FSI would floor space would be 320 square meter.
So 0.41 times.
But if you
So at 40%, it's 320 square meters?
328.
Yeah, for 328.
328, and your proposal is 473 square meters. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, yes, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
That is correct. So had it been 0.4 times, it would have been 328.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone for doing that. I'll do the math in a minute because I've got a second question here. Thank you, first of all, for reducing the height. I had a concern about overall size of this building, overall height of the building. So to reduce the height to 9 meters is certainly moving in the correct direction. The second question I had, again, is we have a variance here for the secondary suite as 45.34% of the total dwelling unit versus 45% of the secondary suite. You and the staff, you and the neighbors have shown that the basement is not complete. There's nothing shown as a secondary suite in the basement. If you put in a secondary suite, would you need to change another variance? This is to the applicant. He already has to change, the secondary suite is too large for the size of the house. So we've got a variance for that. And if you added any more floor space, such as finishing a secondary suite in the basement, he would need another variance, I believe.
But Member Macaulay,
but-
why are we asking that question? That is not something that we're looking at today.
Because
Yeah.
the basement has been left unfinished, and we have the residents who are expecting it to be finished. And that's a reasonable expectation. So really what I'm doing is I'm pointing out to him and to the residents that the secondary suite that he's proposing is already at the maximum size of a secondary suite for this building.
Well,
So I'll leave that as a comment.
well, the basement will solely used by the owner right now for the storage and for the entertainment or the gym.
All right. I think that's my questions, Madam Chair, for the moment.
Okay, thank you, Member Macaulay, for that. Any other question, comment? Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will continue where Member McCare left. And that was the first question about FSI. Yoho, you mentioned that, yes, you heard the comments of the neighbors, and one of the concern was the height, which thank you very much to accommodating to that. The other major concern is the size, the massive development. And this has been in the previous application. You have been reducing it from 0.64 to this time it is 0.58 times of the lot area. But still, what simple math I did is, as you are asking almost over 150 square meter additional in the FSI, so which is a big number, right? I'm just wondering if you go back to your drawing, is there is any way if you can reduce this further, because 150 square meter additional FSI requirement, it's look like it's going to be a massive development, and it may not be a minor variance.
Well, if you consider it as area, it's kind of massive, but if it compare with the lot area, that's the reason the FSI was invented. So, compare with the lot area, the FSI would be merely like 0.5, which is quite consistent with the local presidency, and we basically comply with the local lot coverage. So we insist that the current FSI need a variance.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Member Said. Any further questions before we proceed with taking the matter into committee? Okay, all right. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to speak with us. I am now going to take the matter into committee, so no further questions of the applicant. We can have internal deliberations and comments, and if there's not needed, then we can go to a motion. So, members of the committee, the application has been amended, and we've dealt with other issues as well. Any comments, any thoughts? Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a number of concerns with this application. I think the application, even though it has been reduced from the original in November, it still is overly large. We've just done the math. It's 145 square meters over what is permitted. It is certainly what appears to be a three-story building. And although he's not asking for a height change to 3 stories, it's the mass of the building that is appearance. I have some concerns as well about the secondary suite being 45.34% of the total building. I was unaware that a secondary suite can only occupy 45% of the building, but it's clear that he's asking for an improvement to make the secondary suite larger, and that's not including a finished basement. So I think overall, I have some concerns about the overall magnitude of this building. I think the concern is added to by the coverage and FSI are based on the lot area. As he has explained, there is land owned by the city that was previously probably a cul-de-sac that's at his front yard. That is land that certainly there is the opportunity for them to acquire from the city. But if that land is acquired from the city, that then makes his lot bigger. And if we give him an FSI of 0.586 times the lot area, that means the building can be even larger. I'm really looking at this and have some concerns that this applicant is really trying to push the envelope a bit too much. Those are my comments.
Can I ask for clarification, Member Macaulay? So you're saying pushing the boundary for FSI or generally for other variances as well?
Sorry, who are you asking for clarification from?
From you, Member Macaulay. You made a comment that you've, in your opinion, you feel that the applicant's pushing the boundary for a bit for all the variances, or just the FSI?
No, the FSI, he's pushing the boundary. His coverage is 33.19 versus 33. So it's not pushing the boundary that much. But the FSI certainly is.
Okay, so in your opinion, the FSI is concerning, and then the lot coverage is not that. Okay, Member Igor, comment?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a clarification. My understanding, based on reading the cover letter, is that the FSI, because of the shape and because of that little piece that the city owns, that the FSI would be reduced to 0.5 if the right calculations were taken. Is that correct? Because of it's essentially because of the way that the shape of the lot, and because the city owns a certain portion of it, that's what is creating the FSI to go up to 0.5. Am I incorrect in that assessment?
No, you're absolutely correct. It's just that it's that little piece that doesn't belong to the property, or it's not under private ownership. So had that been, typically you wouldn't see that in generally in lots, right? Typically it would have been like a rectangle. So if that portion was included, the numbers would have differed, and that would have. And again, this is just based off the cover letter and the applicant's evidence here today, that it would have resulted in allowing a maximum floor space index of 0.5 times the lot area because of the additional lot area. But again, that is just it is what it is. I mean, the lot area is what it is. But so I think one can make an argument about setbacks as it relates to the front yard setback as it relates to that semicircle. But when it comes to lot area, I think it's a little different. Lot area is lot area, right? Whatever you own is based on that. So
Madam Chair, I just clarify for my colleague that the FSI for the lot area, even if it included that lot, you're saying he would still need a variance. But
it would still
variance
need
would be for 0.5, wouldn't be 0.586.
That is correct.
That
yes.
is correct.
Yeah. So it would have been 0.5 and not 0.586. So, I mean, but that's
I guess my point is
yeah,
just-
that's a relative number to assess against, but what we have is what we have.
Totally. I guess my point is just if you were to stand in front of this building or this house right now, I mean, looking at it, I mean, I understand technically that the city owns that piece, but when you look at the piece of land, it's not like it's, you know, separated from the property in the sense of physically separated. So when you look at it, you're looking at it, in my opinion, as 0.5, but I understand the technicality of it and what you just said.
Correct.
I just wanted to point that
yeah,
out.
correct. You would not even know if you're there on the street that this portion doesn't belong to the municipality. Okay, thanks, Igor. Member Said, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just making a comment on that, Madam Chair. I asked the applicant to think about reducing the FSI. I wonder if we can still go back to the applicant and give them a proposal that to bring this low. I think even if it is 0.5 time of the lot, this may work. I'm not sure. I'm just giving my opinion on that. Instead of 0.586 time, which is like 150 square meter further. So that could be one of the comment and proposal if we can make it to the applicant. And I was wondering if, in any case, if we have to approve, will be, Madam Chair, your advice, if we do a partial approval and do not consider variance number 2 to be approved, but then it will make the whole application, I think it won't work. But I need your advice, Madam Chair, on that.
So if you were to make a partial approval without variance number 2, there would be 2 options for the applicant. One is to bring the building down and comply with the FSI, you know, for the purposes of obtaining a building permit. Alternatively, they can go back and reduce and bring it perhaps not to the required, but make it a little less, right? That's the second option. The third option, of course, is they can always go to the tribunal. That's always the case. But the point is that if you were to do a partial approval today, those are the options that the applicant would have. So yeah, that's sort of the response in a nutshell.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, are we now prepared to move forward? Remember, I mean, this is an area that is perhaps, you know, a little bit of redevelopment has already begun. The applicant kept on referring to a precedent, but I don't see other precedents in that area except maybe one at the corner. There weren't very many, unless I'm missing something, but just bear that in mind as well. Second suites are permitted as of right, so that's not something that we can debate upon. It's the only variance associated with that is a minor increase in the percentage. And yes, I do agree with the applicant. I mean, housing, general and affordable housing is an issue in the town. Whether this is, again, we're not here to comment on the appropriateness of affordability at this location, but what I can tell you, there is a demand of, you know, for housing options and rental options in the municipality. Yes, Igor, please go ahead.
I want to add one more comment and say, you know, I appreciate that the applicant is moving in the right direction in terms of reducing numbers based on the last application and based on what has been done today in terms of the height. I will, though, say, just as a comment, that we've heard quite a bit of dissatisfaction from the neighbors, especially neighbors that are, you know, directly adjacent, either like right beside the property, across or behind the property, which I will say is not something that we see all the time in terms of that level and the amount of speakers that came out, in my opinion, especially the ones that are very intimately close to a development. And so I just want to reiterate the importance of consultation and talking to your neighbors. I just think it solves a lot of headaches before they come to us, and I think can get a better overall result. And so I would just encourage the applicant and other folks to do that work because I think it's important, and it's just part of being neighborly and living in the city that we live in. So I just wanted to stress that again.
I completely echo your comments. Great comments, Igor. I think that is very important. I think for this particular application, the reason it was deferred was to deal with matters and go and talk to the residents. So unfortunately, that didn't pan out the way it should have been. But we can always encourage and keep encouraging and then stress on the importance of consultation and then working together with the community, whether you are going to living in it or going to be living in it, or whether you're going to sell the property, regardless. At the end of the day, it's the residents and the community that have to live with what is being developed. So those are very good comments, Igor. All right, so I think we've spent quite a bit of time on unpacking this application as well as comments in general. I think we should now proceed with a motion. And again, you're well within your rights, committee members, to do a partial approval, if that's how you're leaning towards. I mean, it's completely up to the committee, however you wish to. Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I mentioned earlier, this was my personal opinion that the house is a massive development. So I'm putting forward a motion for partial approval of this application as amended, where variance number 5 has already been taken out, and variance number 2 not to be approved, subject to the urban forestry condition number 3.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll second that motion to approve as outlined.
All in favor of this motion? The motion carries and the application has been partially approved as amended and subject to conditions. Thank you. Okay, thank you for a very good discussion on this application and some good messaging that has gone out and communication that has gone out through this application as well. We are going to move to our item number 3. Item number 3 is 21 Woolwick Drive.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
can we have a 5-minute break for just 5 minutes?
Sure, no problem.
Before
So
we move on to item 3.
yeah, no problem. So we are going to have a 5-minute break just for the members to refresh, and we'll come back. 5 minutes. So it is 12:25. We'll see you at 12:30. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. All right. Mohammed, are you back? Perfect. Okay. All the members are back. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience and allowing us our 5-minute break. We're going to proceed with item number 3. And item number 3 is 21 Woolwick Drive. We have residents who are wishing to speak with us today. But can we start with the applicant first, Daniel Falzon? Is Daniel with us? Hello, Daniel, you're with us?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Through you, Chair. My name is Daniel Falson. I am here on behalf of the owners of 21 Woolwick Drive. We are seeking relief from 11 bylaws, all of them pertaining to a proposed detached infill dwelling. I'd like to ask if you could put up the site plan for this proposed.
Sure. Just give us a moment. Yeah. Eric, could you please pull up the site plan?
Sure. All right. So this is the proposed dwelling. The dwelling is situated on an interior lot with a fairly irregular lot shape. The majority of variances that we're requesting are directly related to the lot shape, impacted by a curve at the front lot line, 2 side lot lines that aren't parallel, and a rear lot line that's skewed. The lot tends to be smaller than adjacent properties on paper. However, the existing dwelling has always functioned as the neighboring larger lots with similar front and side yard offsets and almost identical footprints. Our proposal generally maintains the front and side yard offsets of the original dwelling, which is done at the expense of the rear yard. From the site plan here, you'll see that the dwelling has been configured to be parallel with the north side property line. This allows us to maintain our neighbor to the north's front offset and provide an almost identical, which is almost identical to what's present. Configuring a dwelling like this causes the southeast corner of the dwelling to become closer to the rear property line, but you'll see that this offset varies significantly as we move further to the north, or the northeast corner of the lot. We have worked with the planning department to end up with the current layout, which required us to reduce the GFA coverage and rear yard offset. I did not see any new staff objections to our applications, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding our file. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Daniel, for your comments. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Daniel at this time? I don't see any hands, so. Okay, well, thanks, Danielle. We are going to probably come back to you with questions or comments if you have, but let's get through our list of registered speakers. So the first neighbor is Renato Bandelaria. Renato, are you with us? Hello, Renato.
Hello.
Hello, Renato. You with us? Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just want to
Okay.
clarify. You're going to be speaking, and then there's Renato Jr. who's going to be speaking as well. Are there 2 speakers from the same address?
He is my son.
Okay. So
On behalf of my wife.
So you will speak, and then he will speak.
Yeah, is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine. It's registered. I just wanted to clarify because it was the same address and I didn't realize. So that's okay. You have 5 minutes and then your son will get 5 minutes as well. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Renato Bandelaria, living in 23 Woolwick Drive, Scarborough, Ontario. Right beside the subject proposed 2-story dwelling. I am here with my wife and son to address our disapproval and concern about the construction of the new dwelling beside our house because of the many variances from the existing bylaws, which is 11. It will greatly affect our day-to-day activities, the future, the beauty, the privacy, the security and safety of our neighborhood and community. We are opposed to the construction of this new dwelling because it has the potential of severely affecting the foundation of our house, affecting our water supply and water system during construction process at any point in the future. The construction has the potential to create flooding due to lack of appropriate amount of soil to absorb rainwater. Also, during winter months, more snow will be going to our property, creating safety issues like slips, trips, and fall. The height of the structure will severely affect the natural sunlight in our property, and our privacy will be affected by the height of this new structure because their windows will be elevated above our property, including the view of our backyard and in-ground swimming pool. We strongly oppose on this front yard landscaping and driveway potential flooding in the sidewalk path due to because it will become a safety issue for users of the path due to slip, tripping, and falls, and especially for school children and old alike. Also, we have not been informed that they didn't talk with us about these proposals. They didn't talk to us even once. So it's a big issue. Also, there is a big old maple tree currently in front of the proposed house within the city limits, which should not be removed. It has served as natural protection against high winds, storms, and natural calamities. We are encouraged to keep our community green, and the government encourages us to plant more, to do our part in preserving the environment in the face of growing climate change, and municipal trees serve as the beautiful part of the character of our community. The variances requested for the proposed house is not minor because of the 11 variances. Also, for the tree that they are proposing to be removed, Paulina Brozek, the planning examiner, emphasized that the proposed house does not comply with the zoning bylaws and the which is the 11. On the tree side, Janice Allen, the supervisor of urban forestry, does not allow and is against the cutting of the 60-year-old city tree. This proposed house will create unease with community neighbors, many of whom have lived here for 50 years. With the construction involved, which may take months or years, it will create unforeseen challenges to the mental health of our neighbors. The perception of our neighborhood will be negatively impacted as the house of this size will, for safety reasons, the general intent and purpose of the city zoning codes and bylaws are not being maintained. The general intent and purpose of the official plan is not maintained because the proposed house will destroy the beauty and enticing view of the neighborhood. This neighborhood is composed of mostly nice small bungalows that is not meant for large two-story dwelling. Please refer to the letter of our ward councilor Paul Ainsley to Mr. Kyle Nowak, the director of City Planning Division, stating that if the application is approved in its proposed form, it will negatively impact the entire neighborhood. Councilor Pauli is respectfully asking the committee to vote against the variances proposed in this application. Also, just in case that you will approve this application, any crack damages to any part of our house, including but not limited to pipings, drainage, and other utilities, incurred
Sir,
during
I'm sorry,
construction
Renato. I'm sorry, I'm going to.
by the homeowner
I will
and
have to
within the
interrupt you, sir.
notice fee.
I have to interrupt you, sir. You've
Yeah,
met your 5
I hear
minutes.
you.
You've reached your 5 minutes, sir.
Mhm.
So I have to interrupt so that we can proceed with speaking with the other neighbor. Committee members, do you have any questions for Renato? Don't see any. Okay. Eric, can we please remove the screen? Okay, I don't see any hands up. All right, thank you, Renato, for taking the time. We've heard your concerns. I'm going to move to our other speaker now, so it's going to be Renato Jr. now. Renato, are you with us?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Hi. No, well, I'm speaking today on behalf of my mother and my father and the people in this household at 23 Woolwick Drive. I think I've heard my father's concerns and I'm completely in agreement to what he's mentioned, and he's mentioned a lot of the things, and I know he went a little bit over the time, so I think he's covered most of what is what our uh, issues are with the 11 proposed bylaw variances set out in the public hearing notice. I think the one thing I think he might have not been able to cover, or didn't get one to cover, is in particular to our property in terms of the height. So I think it's variance number 11. The proposed height is a little bit detrimental to our natural source of sunlight in terms of the fact that we have a in-ground swimming pool in the back. And so the construction of this property will be significantly larger than the other properties surrounding it, and that will cause issues of the lack of sunlight and the wind that affects the area in our backyard. So that's something that we would be against as per the proposed height. And furthermore, the privacy, as mentioned previously, will be affected by the change because of the elevated heights. So all in all, I think the most pressing thing for me, having grown up in this house, is the tree that sits in front of the driveway, in front of that proposed property. It's grown with us for many years, and I'm not quite sure what the status is about the city in terms of having that removed, but if that's something that we can protect to do our part in preserving the environment, and in the face of this removal of these kind of trees, because I understand this tree is quite old, and it would be it would remove a big character on our street, because it looks like it might be the oldest tree on the street. So I would be against removing of that tree, but again, that is I guess dependent on a different committee. And also, just to note that also, yes, I also did want to mention again the Councillor Ansley's memo that was dated to address this case in particular, as my father already mentioned. So all in all, I do agree with what my father's already said. He think I just don't really want to waste everyone's time with any excess information, but these 11 variances will impact the people in this household. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Renato. So your father, or I guess, or yourself, did submit a very detailed written submission as well, and that outlined all the concerns in detail. So we appreciate the time you took to write and come to us and speak with us. With regards to the trees, I can say that this application was circulated. I mean, Urban Forestry has reviewed this application, and they have not raised any concerns. However, there are a couple of conditions that, should committee approve this application today, that those conditions be approved and be imposed, and those pretty much relate to submission of permit applications for removal or injury of a tree. So I'm going to leave it at that, but to confirm that Urban Forestry has reviewed, and they have not expressed any concerns with the removal of the trees. Members of the committee, any questions for Renato? All right, thank you. All right, Renato, thank you very much for speaking with us. I'm now going to move to Fred West, neighbor, who wishes to speak with us. Fred, are you with us?
Hello, Chairman, are you there?
Yes, we are all here,
Can you hear
sir.
me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Fred West, and I live at 19 Woolwick Drive, and we've lived here some 43 years. I would like to just make the point that the owner has not consulted with the neighbors. The only thing he ever said to us was that he's building his dream home, whatever that meant. So he didn't consult with any of the neighbors concerning this proposal. I want to state our concerns, and it's going to include items that you're going to tell me are not, under your bailiwick, but we would like to get them on the public record nonetheless. We have concerns with drainage. With reduced green space, we are concerned with drainage issues on our property as we have not been provided with a site plan and do not know what will be soft and hard space or what materials will be used for walkways, patios to absorb water. We are also concerned that if the back deck is expanded in the future, it will reduce green space. Additionally, we understand that all new construction requires the use of a sump pump. The provided plans do not indicate where the sump pump will be located and where it will discharge the groundwater. We are concerned that the excavation may seriously damage the roots of the cedar tree along our common fence line. If this occurs, the tree may die and fall, damaging property, injuring, or killing someone. We have concerns with vibrating equipment and dust and noise. We are concerned that the use of heavy vibrating equipment used in excavation and construction may damage our foundation and walls. The applicant should be required to maintain an insurance policy to cover the cost to repair any damage caused by construction. The policy should be enforced for at least 1 year after construction is completed. We would also like to know what noise and dust mitigation measures will be put in place by the city. We also have concerns regarding the height of the building. We do not agree with the 9.535 meter height. However, when we were looking at the plans provided by the applicant, we did a calculation based upon the front elevation of the provided plans, and we came up with 11.39 meters. So we were just wondering, how is the 9.53 number arrived at? Regarding the size of the house, the proposed project is an infill project replacing a single-story bungalow and is not materially consistent with the physical character of the nearby properties that are single-family, single-story bungalows built in the 1950s and mid-1960s. We question if this is a single-family residence. The provided plans show 6 washrooms, a powder room, and 2 laundry rooms. This development has the potential to be a future rooming house or Airbnb, creating parking problems, among other things. In particular, if the property is used as an Airbnb, there will be a constant flow of itinerant travelers, and we will lose the quiet enjoyment of our property and neighborhood. Regarding the applicant's Committee of Adjustment application, we would note the following. On page 1, he lists the existing house was built in the 1980s, when in fact it was built in the mid-1960s. And on page 4, the registered agent should be for 21 Woolwick Drive, not 22 Woolwick Drive. Now, I also understand that you are not responsible for Airbnbs and the like, but I'd like to point out that by approving major variances, which are not minor, it'll perpetuate the building of these large residences, which will turn into rooming houses and Airbnbs. And so by approving these variances, if they're way outside the bylaws, then this will result in these large structures being built. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Fred, for speaking with us. I do note that we have received your written submission as well, and I must applaud you for taking the time to write a very detailed commentary. Thank you. So committee members, any questions? I don't see Igor. Okay. Fred, I think you've already acknowledged a few things that you have concerns with, but as we have discussed earlier today with other applications, certain matters are not in our jurisdiction, so unfortunately can't help you with those, but you can always contact the city and speak with the staff or the right appropriate department to get some answers on those. And should those issues occur, please do contact the city. What I can help you with is your variances and your detailed letter explained quite in detail, as well as your oral submission today. So we are going to now go to Daniel and let him respond to the concerns that have been raised. Daniel, are you with us? Daniel? Okay, Daniel, you're with.
All righty.
There you go.
Through you, Chair. Yes, they had me muted. Okay. I guess it seems a recurring theme, these Airbnbs and rentals. We heard it from the first commenter that this is to be the dream home of the owner. And as you can see from the layout, there's nothing here that would facilitate, multiple residences in the future. Possibly the owner, taking his mother who's in an older age, but that's really the most of it. And then to the first commenter concerned about sunlight, I just want to point out that he's located on the northeast to be exact. So our development won't have any impact on his sunlight or the pool at all. And then to both commenters concerned about flooding, we have also submitted an engineered grading plan for the property, which we did as well. We've done all the engineering and architectural design for the work. There should be absolutely no impact to flooding on either properties, or there would be no impact.
And the building code would require you to ensure that there's no adverse impact on the adjacent properties, correct?
Exactly. Either through grading or during construction, there will be no impact to either properties. I guess that's really my direct responses to them. I understand that letters were sent in, and it seems that in general the neighbors, they're not happy with the character of the house, and this is generally seems to be stemming from the fact that we're proposing a two-story dwelling, whereas the majority of the dwellings, they are bungalows. However, we want to make it very clear that two-story dwellings are permitted within the area. So I believe we are within our right. We also want to make it clear that the width of the proposed dwelling is only about 2 feet wider than what's currently there. So from a massing point of view, we're not, with the exception, I understand that we're going from 1 story to 2 stories, so obviously there's some massing impact, but overall we're not widening the dwelling by significantly. And also with respect to massing, the style of roof that we've chosen, as you can see from the front, it almost looks like mansard. But in the back, we have a very low slope roof, which is at 4 to 12. And this is basically the minimum we can go with based on building code, which is limited by the width of the house. So even with respect to massing, we were as conservative as we possibly could be. And I guess that's all I can really say.
And just so that we can clarify, for your reduction in the rear yard setback, it is 5.89 to its narrowest, correct? It is because of that extended porch, but the deepest it goes is 11.15 for the rear yard setback.
I don't have the exact numbers.
So we have the site plan.
5.24 at the.
Oh, we have the
Yes.
site plan up.
So 5.24 is at the southeast corner, and then this, you can see this significantly increases as we go to the northeast corner of the lot. So from the rear lot line to the northeast corner of the dwelling, you'll see that because of basically the pie-shaped rear yard, that southeast corner really is basically an anomaly.
Oh, my apologies. I was looking at the front yard. My apologies. Yes, you're right. The rear setback is 5.24 and 5.77 to the deck. Okay.
That's right. That's just a wooden deck to facilitate exit.
Okay. All right, thank you. You mentioned the height. You've used the lowest or the lowest pitch that you could go to. Can you confirm that
Yes, you
there's
can
no
see it in the
further?
rear.
Yeah, there's no further ability to even reduce it further so that you would no longer require a height variance?
You're going to see here in the rear elevation. So we were there. Go back to S6. Yes, so here you can see the slope is 4 to 12 on the rear roof. So that front gable, or mansard style roof is it's really just a gimmick. We have a 412 in the back, which really is, by building code, the shallowest you can go without risking drainage issues to the actual roof. So really, the illusion from if you can imagine this slope from the front, it's really not as significant as most people, as it appears from the front. And this would be basically the minimum that basically anyone would be able to get away with a two-story dwelling.
Okay, thank you for.
So in short, to reduce it would basically be impossible.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions? Member Macaulay, go ahead.
Just a further clarification. He's asking for a variance, a height variance of 9.535 versus 9. I think at one point he said he wasn't needing a height variance.
No, I never said that. I said that the height cannot be reduced.
All right, so you are still requesting a 9.535 meter height variance.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted, was to get that clear.
Any further questions? Yes, Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Daniel, just to make, I was just trying to reduce these number of variances. Just look at variance number 9 and variance number 10, which is landscaping, front yard landscaping, and the other one is the driveway width. Is there a possibility of making a minor adjustment and you can just take away these variances?
Yes, I did notice that number 10. I don't know how that slipped in. I believe we can get rid of number 10, which is the driveway width from, we're asking for 0.25 in addition, so about a foot. Number 9, I guess naturally we'd be closer to that 50% once we remove number 10. I know we do need a walkway to get to the front yard. So I can't guarantee that I could be right at 50 without doing the math. Another thing I want to point out is that 3 of these variances are all in regards to the height. So whereas it appears that we're asking for 11, we're actually asking for 9. But if you want to remove 10, maybe even 9, that would be fine with me.
So are you confirming that you want to withdraw 9 and 10?
You're not, yeah, we can withdraw 10.
So what's on the screen? So number 9 is the front yard landscaping, and number 10 is the maximum driveway width.
Yeah, 10 can be stricken.
Okay, so 10 is the maximum.
And then 9, my
driveway.
concern is
Yeah.
correct. And with 9, my concern is if I'm right at the border of say 49.5. You know what? That's fine. Yeah, get rid of 9 as well. I'll make it work.
Okay, so applicant is withdrawing variance number 9, which is related to the front yard landscaping, and variance number 10, which is related to the driveway width. It's no longer required, or the applicant would meet that. So 9 and 10 being removed. You mentioned that there's 3 variances related to the height, so I can see variance number 3 under
There's
569, 569, 2013, and then I see number 11.
There's 3, there's 11, and counted. Height.
That's it.
Oh, 4.
That was the
It's,
height
well,
of the front
height
walls,
of the main.
yeah.
Correct, which is technically related. Like, I guess you could say 2.
Yeah, because of that overall increase, you're increasing the main wall as well, okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, for those who are listening and members of the committee, variance number 9 and 10 have been removed or withdrawn by the applicant, so we're left with 9 variances. And the applicant has confirmed that the height, for any further reduction on the height may not work out or may not be feasible. Okay, Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Daniel, for these consideration. And there was a concern about the maple tree, which I understand it's on the city property outside of the construction area. But still, would you like to just confirm that this tree is safe?
Okay, so this tree, we have not determined whether or not we are going to remove it. Preliminarily, the plan is to remove it, subject to approval from urban forestry and possibly TRCA. If we have to remove it, or sorry, if the owner prefers to remove it, we will be going through the necessary means to do so. We wouldn't move it if we didn't have to. This is for sure.
Okay, and while we're on the trees, thanks, Member Said, for that. The resident from 9 Woolwick Drive mentioned that there was a tree between, I guess, across the mutual property line, and he wants to ensure that that would not be affected.
Yes, so this tree, you can see in the current site plan that we show hoarding around the tree. This tree is definitely to remain, and this tree will not be affected by the excavation.
Okay.
It's a sufficient distance away.
What type of a tree is it? Coniferous or deciduous?
It's a C coniferous tree,
Okay.
CT.
Okay. All right, so that is going to be protected and not impacted by the proposed development. The tree in the boulevard is subject to further discussion with urban forestry. Okay, does that satisfy your concerns or questions, Member Said?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay. All right. On that note, I would like to wrap it up. Any closing comment before we go into the committee? Daniel?
No.
Okay. All right. And you are aware of, yes, you did. You said you were aware of the conditions of urban forestry. Okay. Members of the committee, I take the matter into committee now. No further questions or back and forth with Daniel. Comments? Yes, Member Igor.
Madam Chair, I had some connection issues, so I've just been instructed by staff to not vote on this specific item, just to let you know.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so Member McCauley, Member Said, Member Gary. Comments, questions, deliberation, or motion? Yes, Member McCauley, go ahead.
Okay, some comments here. Having just gone through the same items of height and gross flora area with the previous application, I'm really looking at this one carefully. In terms of height, I think the applicant has convinced us that that is reasonable. It's a reasonable design and it's a reasonable height. The placement of the building on the property, it does require some rear yard adjustments, but I think that's the shape of the property. So I don't have any problem with the building setbacks. I'm a little concerned that the house still is overly large. I'd like to see whether any of the other members that have that concern as well. That's all. I'm okay with the landscaping. I like the fact that the applicant has made changes. I'm okay with the setbacks. I'm okay with the height. My only item now is the size of the house. I see that it was reduced from 7.27 times in November to 0.693 versus 5. So 0.7 versus 0.5, it's still a bit large. That's all. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Any comment or are you prepared for a motion? Member Said?
Just a few comments. Yes, I was looking about the size and the lot coverage, Madam Chair. But keeping in view the design of this house, I believe the size is not having impact on the character of the street. The FSI, the applicant is asking, as Member Ann mentioned, some additional square meter, which is the difference is like 86 square meter additional in the FSI. As far as the lot coverage is concerned, 33% and 38%. It's just a minor difference of 28 square meter. So most of these variances, keeping in view the design and the architectural requirement, and I believe yes, the height was a factor, but again, the designing factor, there was no choice left with the applicant. So I am okay with most of these variances. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Member Said. I echo your thoughts on the FSI. I think the lot is conducive to a larger home of this size. Yes, it is definitely a higher FSI request, but it's still, I don't see any reduction in the side yard setbacks or anything. There's a minor reduction in the rear yard, but because of the pie-shaped nature of the lot, it does provide, it may not meet numerically, but it does provide that additional buffer. I see that there's vegetation on the property as well, so that allows for the buffer to be maintained, or at least the visual buffer. 2 stories is permitted. There's a minor height increase, but I think overall, the massing is not that bulky. I think it with that slope or the pitch of the roof, it is conducive to, and it sort of complements the massing of the house. So I'm not concerned as well. Okay. If there are no further objections, or sorry, if there are no further comments, can I please have a motion? There is 2 conditions of urban forestry. Oh, Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Given our deliberations on this, I'm prepared to put forth a motion to approve this application, subject to the changes in the front yard landscaping and the driveway, which the applicant has agreed to, and subject to the conditions of urban forestry.
Okay, so
I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you, Member Macaulay. So approval on the floor, motion on the floor to approve application as amended, subject to conditions of urban forestry. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? And I can't do that, right? And all opposed? Member Gary opposes the motion. However, the motion's carried and the application has been approved subject to conditions. Thank you. As amended. Okay. And I believe we are down to our last one for the morning agenda. And that is item number 12. Item number 12 is 18 East Road. Can we please have the applicant Krishna Shah? Okay, Krishna, are you with us?
Krishna Shah, and I'm representing for 18 East Road.
Okay, thank you. Krishna,
Thank you.
would you like to make a presentation or would rather go into questions?
Sure, Madam Chair, I would like to give a quick presentation.
Sure, please go ahead and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. So the public notice issued on 27 February 2023 had 5 variances mentioned, but after working with community planning and considering the recommendations, we reduced the FSI to 0.75 from 0.86, which is 209.46 square meter. Thereafter, the community planning sent the recommendation approval letter. This resulted in elimination of other 2 variances, that is item number 2, lot coverage, and item number 5, rear yard setback. So now we are requesting only for 3 variances, that is item number 1, FSI, which is proposed 0.75, item number 3, building height, which is 9.76, and item number 4, main wall height, which is 8.64 meters. Also, the owner went to many neighbors and spoke to them. We have no objections and we have support from neighbors as well, which is attached. Thus, I request the committee to consider these variances as they are minor in nature and kindly approve the request. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna, for your comments. Yeah, so we have the amended application on the screen, as you can see. Krishna, did you get a chance to look at community planning staff report and a recommended condition and conditions from urban forestry as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you have no questions or
And we're
concerns?
okay with that.
Okay, all right. I appreciate the effort that you took to amend the application to reduce, including the elimination of 2 variances and an amendment to the FSI. We appreciate that and that you consulted with community planning as well as the neighbors, which we can't stress enough how important that is. All right, members of the committee, any
Thank you,
questions?
Chair.
Any questions for Krishna? Member Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Krishna, thank you, Krishna, for making these changes. I'm looking at the amended application. The concerns, the concern was there about the height of the building, which is still there, and the concern was about the height of walls. I just wanted to know that you must have worked on that and finding no way to changing that. Could you please let us know, like, what are the triggering factors for that you cannot bring down this height?
First of all, there are no concerns regarding the. I have not received any objection letters or anything from community planning. So, and I believe it is 9.76 meters, so it is minor in nature. So it is only 0.76 more.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I should put my question again. It's not that there should be a voice and to concern for the height. I'm talking about what is permitted in the bylaws and what you are asking for. And we have to see whether this variance is minor and appropriate. Apparently, you are asking, something which is exceeding. So you have to let us know, like, what are the rationales for that you are asking for a height of 9.76 meter, while the bylaw is permitting is 9 meter.
So if I can further clarify, I think the question, just add to the question is, Why could you not meet the required 9 meters? Why do you need that additional height? Is it because of, what factors are contributing to that increase in the height?
More clear, more clear.
So the client required more height, the more clear height, and that's the reason it is 0.76 meters more.
The taller ceiling heights for the house, for the floors, is that your client's desire?
Yes.
So members say that it's more a matter of a desire as opposed to any technical issue.
Can 1 feet.
Okay. All right. We can, do you have a follow-up, member Said?
I am okay with that, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can always come back to it and see if the applicant has thought more about it. Okay, so we're going to move on to speaking with the neighbors now. First neighbor, Marty McLaughlin.
Oh,
Hello, Marty.
hi, good afternoon. Marty McLaughlin. I'm the resident of 21 Lynn Road. I am also the owner with my wife. We back on to the residence we're discussing right now on East. At no point did anyone from the property or the construction company or the design company come and ask us about how we felt about this new build. So I understand that there's 2-story buildings beside it. I'm completely fine with them putting up a 2-story building. My questions and my concerns were with number 5, which has been eliminated. But I want to know how far back they're going to actually come, because the height that they're proposing in variance 3 and how far back determine how much sunlight we get in our gardens. And if they're still coming back to the 9 meters, if they're still coming back to the required of 7.6575 meters, if they're coming right to the edge of that, even looking at the overhead view given to us through the city, it actually shows the backyard where the shed is, that there's not a whole lot of room for them to build a deck in the future. And if a deck ends up going in the future, they'll literally be looking over our backyard. They already sit about 1 foot, 1.5 foot higher in grade to us. And if a deck's put in on top of that, they're going to be looking literally right in our backyard. I've got 2 young children, and we enjoy our backyard. We enjoy our time playing in the backyard, and when the weather permits it. And so our concerns are for that, as well as windows looking in our backyard. The other issue is during construction and even after construction is water runoff. The footprint of where the house is now comes back so far in the proposed drawings that we have that it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for water drainage in the back of the house. And they sit, again, like I said, about 1.5 foot above where we sit. And I think it may cause water issues for our house, just because of the fact there's no water saturation in their backyard. The other issue I had was, just again, the size and how much it's going to take up as far as the land, and then how far back it sits based on the height. With how high it is will eliminate sunlight in our backyard for our gardens.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marty. So when you say the back, so you're referring to because you're back onto this property. So you're concerned about,
Yeah.
You're asking clarification on the rear yard setback, right?
Yeah, correct. I want to know exactly if they've changed it, because they say they've eliminated the variance. I want to know what they've changed it to, because there still isn't, and I know if they fall within the rules, they fall within the rules. I'm going to want to know how much I'm going to have to monitor
Sure.
where they're doing this because of the water drainage alone, draining from when they're building and then into my property.
Okay. So Eric, do you mind pulling up the amended application, public notice. So to address your question, Marty, that was variance number 5, which has been eliminated, which means that the required rear yard setback is 7.6575 meters. And since they requested for the variance to be eliminated, they will have to comply with the required rear yard setback and meet that requirement.
Okay. My question is, I haven't seen any of the other proposals for what the property is to look like. Is the building going to match the housing that's currently in our neighborhood? Because all I've got is the overhead view of the entire property. I haven't seen any of those other photos yet.
Sure. So the one before was a copy of the site plan, which is, I believe, what you're referring to as the overhead. This, what you see on the screen, is a elevation.
Okay.
The front elevation, so you can see the entrance door, the garage, and the windows, and the windows above. And then I believe this is the back of the house. So this is what you will be looking at, because you're back onto the property.
Okay.
And the sides are, this is the side, and I guess.
Sorry.
That's okay. That came out of the blue.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the elevation drawings with the house. And then if you go back, Eric, to the site plan, if you don't mind for a moment.
Yep.
The site plan is what is in front of the screen. So that's what you're gonna have on
Is
the,
this the,
yeah.
this is the new site plan? Are they eliminating the shed? Because there's a shed in like the top right corner where like in the top right corner of the back of the
Yes.
yard where it's kind of the shortest. They currently have a shed there, and in their initial picture they have the drawing for the shed in there.
You're right. So I'm not sure, because I have one plan here, proposed site plan, that shows a shed and the other one doesn't, so we can ask for that clarification. But that shed is not something that is subject to this application. If one was to put a shed, they're well within the rights to put a shed, as long as they meet the setback requirements and the height and whatnot. But we are not seeing any variance required for that particular shed. So that's what I
Okay.
can say. But in terms of the rear yard, I'm not sure if this drawing reflects the variance that has been eliminated, probably not, but what I can say to you is it's the variance number that matters. I wouldn't rely on this drawing. Once they go in for a building permit application, the drawings that they will have, they will provide to the building permit department for the building permit, they would have to make sure that the rear yard setback is what is required, which is 7.65 something. Okay?
Okay. Another question. There's a number of shrubs and bushes and a tree or two that line our fence that do create a little bit of privacy. I'm wondering if that's going to be removed or not.
I am not sure of that. We can certainly, once the applicant comes back, we will ask that question.
Okay.
Okay. From what I can tell is when this application was circulated to our urban forestry department, they have requested for one condition, which is condition number 3, which means that they have to provide payment in lieu for one street tree. There's no talk about private trees on the property. Okay, but we will ask the applicant
Okay.
if they will maintain the shrubs and the hedges that are there. Okay?
Okay. And yeah, so just with the height requirement, like the variance that they're asking for, I'm also curious, was it looked at them even as opposed to asking for a variance in the height to be adjusted to maybe going down, maybe digging down deeper and going that route as opposed to eliminating potentially more of my light and infringing on our gardens?
Okay, all right. So once again, the applicant would be able to respond to it. I know we had started to talk about the height, and I could hear some background discussion. So once we go back to the applicant, we will confirm that whether there is any opportunity to reduce the height, if at all, or to bring it into compliance or reduce it. Okay?
Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Of course. Thank you very much for taking the time. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Marty? I see none. All right, thanks, Marty, for taking the time to speak with us. We will now move on to our next speaker, Henry Brown. Henry, you with us? Hello, Henry. Is he unmuted? Do you want to say that to him?
Henry, can you please not unmute? I will unmute you.
Can you say something, Henry? Okay. Clearly, we can't hear you. Yeah, it is in unmuted mode. Still not, Anita? But he's unmuted. He's not unmuted? Can you? Okay, so staff is calling Henry for unmuting. We'll give a few seconds to a minute. Any update, Benita? He signed out? Do we know if he's calling? Okay, he's calling in, okay. No? Okay. All right, I think we've given them enough opportunities and time. He's not answering? Okay, so just so it's on record, we've tried to engage through WebEx with Henry, and we were unable to establish that connection. Staff has called Henry a couple of times, and it is going to a voicemail. He's not answering the phone, so we, I guess, waited for a few minutes, and I think we're now in a position where we can move forward, having tried multiple ways to connect with Henry. So coming back to Krishna now. Krishna,
Yes, Madam Chair.
Krishna, you heard the comments from Marty, and there were questions around, I think, the height. He wanted some clarification on the rear yard setback, so I explained that to him. He wants to know if consideration was made to the height of the building and if there's an opportunity to lower the height, and the shrubs, which in his opinion, which for him creates some sort of a barrier at the back. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, to respect the impact. Yes, Madam Chair. I heard the comments from 21 Line Road owner. Thank you for his comments. To respect the concern about height of member Said and the neighbor, will reduce the height from 9.76 meter to 9.61 meter. And considering the comments for building length, so it is not a variance, and I believe the distance from his house to the proposed rear wall of our property is 87 feet. So I don't think there will be any issue. And again, that is not, a rear yard is not a variance. And there is no shed as well. I just want to clarify that. And for the bushes, so we are not doing the construction, so he can directly contact the owner of the property 18 East Road. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Being the agent on the application, may I request you to speak with the owner and convey the comment regarding the shrubs at the back, and that the owner should keep that into consideration, and that every effort be made to keep those shrubs. And if needed, the owner should contact the applicant to confirm that. Okay?
Sure, Madam Chair.
Please convey that information to the owner. So you've confirmed that the shed is not there. And can you please repeat the height change? It's going from 9.76 to 9.61?
Yes, that's correct.
How many inches is that, Krishna?
It is 6 inches, Madam Chair.
And that's the best you could do?
Yes, Madam Chair, that's the best we can do. Otherwise, if we lower it more down, it will hit the roof of the window at the front, which is W1, W2, on the second floor.
Okay.
It will be very close to that.
It'll be very close to the windows at the front if you lower the height of the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right, thank you for looking into that for us. So a revision to the height from 9.76 to 9.61. Okay. Members of the committee, any further questions? Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Krishna, I was wondering, could you let us know what's the height of the other two buildings which is on both sides of this property? Do you have any idea of that?
I'm sorry to say, but I don't have idea of that. I need to check. Can you give me like 2-3 minutes?
Yeah, I see both of them are like a two-story buildings.
Yeah,
and
she
their
won't be
height
able
is,
to, she won't be able to tell you the height if she doesn't have that. She can tell you that those are 2 stories, unless she has the heights for any reason.
That's what I was wondering, if you have collected any information on these side buildings and their heights.
Yes, they are 2-story building. It seems like old building, and I believe it's more than 9 meters.
Well, okay, we can't say that until we really know. I think to help you, all you need to say is it's 2 stories and leave it at that. Whether it's less or more, we should not be commenting on.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
That's okay. That's okay. Members say that it's 2 stories, okay? All right?
Yeah,
And
I was,
anyone can, and 9 meters is permitted as of right. So even regardless of what's there today,
exactly.
anyone can go in and build a house to up to 9 meters, or come for a variance should one be required.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking into the character of the street, and mostly they are double story and close to 9 meter. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
we don't
quite
know the
a,
exact
it's
height of
quite
the
an
other.
eclectic mix, actually, if you look at it. It's
Hmm.
quite a mix there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further comments, then can we take the matter into committee, please? Checking with everyone. Okay, thanks, Krishna, for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members, for your time as well.
Okay, members of the committee. Comments? Or are we prepared for a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion.
Please go ahead.
I would move that we approve the amended variance application, subject to urban forestry conditions and subject to the community planning recommendation that that we tie this into the site plan.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder? Member Igor, please go ahead.
And Madam Chair, I'll second that motion for approval.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved as amended, subject to conditions. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to speak with us. I believe this was the last item for the morning session. We will come back in. Committee members, how much time do you need for a break? We're at 1:37 right now. Do you think we can resume at 2 o'clock?
Very suggestive. 2:05?
Okay. 2:05, okay. We'll do 2:05. That gives us 25 minutes approximately to 30 minutes. So we'll see everyone at 2:05 for matters for the afternoon session. Staff, do you have any announcement for the second afternoon session?
Through the chair, for those viewing on YouTube, please log off the current stream and go to the PM stream to log in for the afternoon session. Thank you.